When I was a kid, I wanted to be a fireman. Or a lion. An eagle. Or even a hawk. And then I just wanted to play footy. And win premierships. Lots of them. What are you going to be today? What are you going to do when it's your turn to go?
One last roll of the dice for the Eagles! Very good start!
To put your head in the hole. I'll tell you what you do. You go. Because that's all there is. That moment. Your moment. This is everything. It's the pain. The sacrifice. The joy. It's history. It's legacy. It's your teammates. It's family. This is who you are.
Oh, Brownie, you've got us. We just want to get stripped.
We're ready to go again,
we just want to go. That is fantastic. And if you're wondering why we love the game, then just look at some of the vision from that piece of tape that we just had a look at. To the winner, of course, today, the spoiled WEG posters have been part of this day for so many years now. They're going to be available once again today, and my two models are just holding them up. Thank you, boys. $3 each.
You're going for the Eagles, Lynchy.
They're going to
I'm all over the Eagles, mate.
They're going to be available straight after the game outside the ground. Of course, it's in conjunction with the Herald Sun and the Good Friday Appeal. So thanks once again.
Can I get Derby to sign this? This would be a good piece of memorabilia at home, I reckon.
Yeah, we might have to destroy it, though. I knew you've made it when you're a hand model. Well done, boys.
They're not real straight, but...
While they talk about who's going to sign what, let's have a look at the way Hawthorn made their road to the finals.
Hawthorn started the year as they finished the last, in devastating form, flogging Geelong by 62 points.
Out the back, Puopolo looks to...
They seesawed between wins and losses, finally stringing 2 victories together in rounds 9 and 10.
Look at the pickup, look at the speed from Rioli! He's a genius!
Cyril was scintillating, but questions were asked about the discipline of some of the club's leaders.
Oh! Lewis has now gone the 4!
The Hawks went on a 6-game winning streak, including a 72-point hiding of the ladder leaders in Tassie.
Well, it was a clinic, wasn't it, this afternoon?
With Ruffy out, goal scoring was spread across the board, and Sam Mitchell once again put himself in Brownlow contention. Hawthorn finished the season in 3rd place at 16 and 6.
Having a good time now, the Hawks.
Week 1 of the finals was very un-Hawthorn, thumped by the Eagles in an insipid performance. The doubters were soon silenced, the Hawks bouncing back to crush the Crows by 74 points in the semi-final.
The biggest win ever for Alistair Clarkson in his 20th final.
Fremantle had their chances in the preliminary, but Hawthorn's experience was enough to counter the crowd and a second trip to Perth.
Gray has been a star. Quickly onto the boot, and there it is. The Hawks are into a grand final.
The Hawks are now into their 4th consecutive grand final and will join the immortal teams if they can go back to back to back.
Yes, they're an amazing team. Mark McClure earlier on in the day suggested that Hawthorn's experience really counted for nothing. Do you agree with that, Dermot?
Not really. Not really. Look, the West Coast Eagles get there and they got there early. It's not as if they've been a team that's come from 10th or outside the 8, made it in the finals and won week after week to keep their dreams alive. Yeah. They know they're there nice and early. They're prepared. They got the week's break. So they're well versed with what's going on. But to know the hearts, look, they'll be walking around the rooms at this moment. You'll be a young kid playing his first grand final. and you'll be going to Sherrod Wellingham, you'll be going to some of those senior blokes going, all right, you're telling me it's going to be really hot. I reckon it was really hot and the heat for tackling and pressure was on early 3 weeks ago. You're telling me it's going to be hotter than that? He doesn't know what to expect. So he doesn't know if it goes up again. So nerves will creep in on the top of that. So once you get knocked around the head a few times, yeah, you can settle down. It's the damage you take until that moment.
I can see the leadership helping the Hawks, definitely being a factor if the game's close late. Now, we talk about the heat, that'll help West Coast potentially in the second half. But if things are tight, the more leaders out there, genuine leaders, the better for you. I remember back in 2002, really tight game. We had a lot of leaders that carried us through that last 5 or 10 minutes. And I believe Hawthorn, that'll come to the fore if it's tight, Lynchy.
And the same questions were being asked about the Brisbane Lions in 2003. We lost the qualifying final against Collingwood. We came back in really strong fashions in the next 2 weeks, got to the grand final. We were seen as underdogs coming up against the Pies again. And I think we wanted to make a statement, similar to what Hawthorn did last year. Wanted to make a statement really early, and we did. We we attacked the ball really hard, kicked some early goals, and the game was over very early on the back of some really strong leaders and experienced players.
What interests me today is with Schoenmakers in, and also the way they've dropped Hartung out, we actually don't quite know how they're going to play. We don't know how they're going to set up. The West Coast Eagles have got there, their first year of real improvement. We know how they got there, and they have to play the same way. So we know what they're going to throw. We know what they're going to do. You don't know what Hawthorn are going to do to them.
Yeah. It is worth remembering, of course, West Coast Eagles had a shaky start to the season. They lost 2 key defenders, but boy, they've covered them magnificently. As we have a look at their road to the final.
The season started poorly with a loss to the Dogs and a demolition in the Derby.
I don't think I've ever seen a Derby as one-sided as it.
Nick Nat soared.
He took his armchair with him and set up on top, Nick Natanui.
But the injury tolls started to mount.
See, what more can go wrong for these Eagles, eh?
8 of 9 wins had them in good stead at the break.
And the Eagles tonight are second on the ladder.
They weaved a new web.
I've come up with what I think is part spatial defence, part man-on-man, and we're going to call it the Weagles web.
And up forward, Kennedy took his maiden Coleman.
It'll take a miracle to stop him.
Fellow contenders were put to the sword as the Eagles finished strongly, finishing with 16 wins in second position. In finals week 1, they proved their premiership credentials, dismantling the reigning champs and earning a week off.
What a night for the Eagles.
The Eagles started slowly in the preliminary, but eventually prevailed to make their first grand final since 2006.
West Coast Hawthorn grand final.
Can West Coast dominate Hawthorn one more time this final series? We'll soon find out.
Yes, they know they can beat them. Should the web hold fears for Hawthorn, gentlemen?
Well, I think it's only if Hawthorn can't get the control of the footy enough. You know, their precision kicking is what can cut holes in the web, no doubt about that. If they can move, get just more the ball speed, so they intercept mark, get the ball in their back half. The ball needs to move, either by hand or by foot. Normally that's short. Once they can get to the wings, if they can get a Smith or a Hill to move it quickly into the forward line, you can get over the back of the web, because we know those West Coast defenders, they play well in front of their men. It's a very aggressive, I suppose, way to play football, and you can get some easy goals over the back for the Hawks forwards.
I see the critical situation, critical part of the game is the forward half for the West Coast Eagles. In particular, their forward 6 or 5. Right. To hold the ball in there, to put pressure on so there's not uncontested marks. Because the last 31 times Hawthorn have had 100 uncontested marks or more, they've won the game. So I think that's where they've got to put pressure on the ball carrier, force the ball long. The web is really effective then.
They're really well organised in every area. They're the second most scoring team in the comp. They're led by Pritis, who just continually wins the footy. Shuey's really damaging, and he's obviously controlling, those two control that area there. And then you call, as Jared called it, the web down back. But they cash in on the hard work and pressure of that midfield that forces the opposition to go, hey, I'm under pressure, hack it forward, throw it up with airtime. And if any kicks go into the Hawthorn forward line with airtime, hang time, they'll pick it off the Eagles.
More thoughts from Kingy and Jared, and I believe, well, he's just chatting with Mr. T, so if we could perhaps spare a moment.
The selfies on live TV.
Meet my friend Payne out here. he's an angry man. Don't start him, Sandy. We want to talk about the power forward for the West Coast Eagles. You might join in if you like. Josh Kennedy. What does he have to do today, Jared, to get the Eagles over the line? Well, I think he's kicked 80 goals for the year, so the expectation is he's going to kick a bagful. To me, that's not the starting point. The starting point is he's one of the great leaders of their team. He needs to set a standard for work rate, for intensity at the ball, and for forward pressure. As Dermot just said, if their defence is going to work, it's going to start with the pressure in the forward half. Clearly, if he can do this in the first couple of minutes and set the standard for attack on the football, neutralise the tough and the hard ball that's going to come from the Hawks, then he's done his job. You can't go in there expecting to be best on the ground. If that happens, well and good. All you can do is go in there, be true to your standard and deliver when it counts most.
I think if he gets hold of Frawley, it can create some real problems, because then they've got an issue with Frawley. Where do they play him? Does he go forward? Who goes to Kennedy? Because Brian Lake can't go with him. We know that.
No, they've got an issue also with Callum Sinclair. Maybe that's where Brian Lake does go. But Lake in the opening final, he got run up the ground, and he was exposed for a lack of athleticism. So it would be really handy if they could plant a seed of doubt in their minds.
You can see his season so far, prior to last week, his heat map staying inside that forward 50, very much a target player in that forward 50 arc. But last week got on his bike. He had 20 possessions, 9 marks, and it was right up as high as the wings, Jared, and I think that's where he'll be best served at the MCG.
Well, it's going to be interesting because whoever plays on Darling, I think, is going to go for a hell of a ride. Darling is a great athlete, so if it's Josh Gibson, then Gibson is their cut-in player. He's their, I guess, intercept player. He gets taken up the ground. Lake hasn't got the athleticism to go with him. Maybe in the end it's Frawley that has to go with him. It's going to be fascinating to see who matches up on who.
I think Mr. T's having a stare down with you, Sandy.
Doing something, I can tell you that.
You know what is scary? There's a little bit of Travis Bickle in him, I reckon.
Oh, dear. Nothing like having a bit of fun, and it's great to see people dressing up, whether you're an Eagle or a Hawk or whatever. It's just great to see everyone here. There's so many key players we've talked about during the day, and perhaps one we should really focus on now. He's been an absolute little champ for the Hawthorn Football Club, and he just continues to rack up possessions week in, week out. I speak of Sam Mitchell.
What makes Sammy Mitchell so good? People see the stuff that he does out there, but I guess getting drafted at the same time, yeah, I probably saw what he was like when he first came, and he was still short and fat like he is now. But how he's worked on certain things, he didn't get drafted having that step that he's got, or the agility. He obviously had the knack of football. He understood how it was, but seeing someone who trying to improve and make himself better every day that he comes to training, you see how he's got to the stage he is.
You watch him out here day to day and the way that he trains and goes about it, it doesn't really surprise you at the continual improvement that he brings for the group. He's normally last off the track. He's always out there working on skills, and whether it be a soccer ball with, and then you can relate that with his feet with a footy. It just shows how good he's been able to be over the past 10, 15 years.
Sammy, is life better after 30 as a footballer for you?
I'm certainly enjoying it more. I'm loving playing the game. I love coming to training, love coming to work, and trying to improve on little things, and as an individual and as a team and a group, trying to fix up little things we're working on. And I love the sport, I love the game, so I've enjoyed it more probably since turning 30.
He's not the coach, but does anyone know more about stoppages than Sammy Mitchell? A lot of blokes rock up to weekends and go, okay, I saw a couple of bits of vision, and that's how I think they're going to go. Mitchell start watching on Tuesdays on what they do. Thursdays he'll watch a little bit more just to get 100% on what he thinks, and then he'll come and talk to the rest of the guys and with Rats explain how he thinks they're going to go.
You'd consider the best decision maker in the game these days. What do you do to try to improve that or train that?
Pretty honest reviews, I guess, is where it starts. Cameron Bruce, as the midfield coach, he's probably by my request quite critical. We don't go in and watch our tape on a Monday and look at all the things they did well. Pretty much we just look at the room for improvement column and figure out if there's a theme of something that I'm doing that's consistent, that's meaning my performance is not at its absolute premium. And I think by being quite hard on yourself and never really being too happy with the way you've gone about it. When I put my head on the pillow, I'm always thinking about the decision I made wrong, not the ones I made right.
Little one to Bruce to Franklin, and he snapped a goal. Socked away by Leclerc, and again.
Picked off by Shields and Savage.
This way, here's Natanui. And his stick was pretty good. Oh, rough it on the line. Did he? Oh, the balance. McGovern again. Burgoyne smart. Rioli, perhaps even smarter. A little bit of a dance from Cyril. Now they're turning it on the Hawks.
To Bruce, the stiff arm on Schofield along the ground. Our goal.
Cripps emerged with a footy. He picked their pocket. He stole it out the back.
Important Duray centering ball. Rioli!
It's a high ball to the wing. Rough it! Oh! Off the ground by Burgoyne. Cripps sustained his run. Turns and hooks and puts it through.
We've been over here talking about Jared's web, the Eagles web, Jared. It's been a sensational year, hasn't it? And a lot of teams have struggled to come up with a way to defeating it.
I think it's been just great innovation from Adam Simpson, born out of necessity. When Eric McKenzie went down, lost two key defenders, which didn't help them when Brown went down as well. But they have really now got to face one final challenge.
That's the stat there that we'll be watching all day today. Giveaways are where you turn the ball over under no pressure, and the web does that to you. It makes it hard to be precise going into an area where the opposition have more numbers than you. And their poorest results for the year, Hawthorn, have been both games against the West Coast Eagles, 30 and 27 respectively. You can't win when you turn the ball over cold.
Well,
like that.
we've said it a few times, but it's a function of your system, but it's also a function of your pressure. And if your pressure's not there, your system's going to break down no matter what.
We saw the Adelaide Crows come up with a tactic a few weeks ago, Jared, and I want to highlight exactly what that was. It was Scotty Thompson marking the ball on the wing line there, and without hesitation, he switches the ball out to the fat side of the ground, the open side of the ground. They go around the web. It's sort of like they go in the shallow into the web and then lateral and around it, and they're able to score time and time again in this first quarter.
That was one of the great kicks of the season because strategically it was so important, and it gives us an indication as to what Hawthorn will be looking to do with their great left foot troop of kickers. They'll be looking to spear it out to the outside players, but if that kick is kicked out there today, in this really blustery wind, there's no guarantee it's going to be as accurate. So the longer the kick, the harder the accuracy. It's just why it's such a raffle for me, this result today.
They would have learned some lessons from last week. The Kangaroos were fantastic in that first 40 minutes of football, and they found ways to get around it as well, Jared. Look at Higgins here, pull the trigger sideways again. Yep. Instead of those 3 or 4 Kangaroos players being redundant on the outside and not usable, all of a sudden it flips the magnets, and the West Coast have got 6 or 7 players that are in poor positioning almost instantaneously.
Oh, it's brilliant planning by Brad Scott last year, but I think it also gave Adam Simpson something to work on. He knows that his web was a little bit too shallow to one side. He's going to have to keep it a little bit wider itself and cover that inside kick, because if he doesn't, the redundant players become very much active players.
And you can see there the web almost covers from the wing line to the boundary.
Yep.
But the MCG, that's not the case. It doesn't have that width about it. The gap would probably be another 15 to 20 metres, Jared, and I think that'll be the big problem today. If they get their positioning wrong, they'll pay a price on the scoreboard, given the Hawks' ability to score.
Yeah, it's a different environment for them. They've been here once. They played the web with great success against Richmond, but playing it against the premiers of the last 2 years is very much a different challenge.
Yeah, it certainly is, Jared. The web's been a sensation. We've said that all year, Sandy. I think that when you look back at this game, this will be the reason why they win or lose. You can see here, the Kangaroos taking their time. They're almost saying to the West Coast, get your web set up.
Yep.
Get your web across. And we're going to go down the line. We're going to see if we can contest it, mark, or if we can crumb the ball. And once they did, look at his vision, Jared.
He knew he was there, didn't he?
One thing in mind,
Yep.
hasn't he?
He wanted to centre the ball, and you're right, that delaying tactic was absolutely fantastic. It got the West Coast Eagles to commit to one side.
It did, and as soon as they did that, they were out and gone. This is where Hill, Smith, Rioli on the open side, Bruce, they can create space out there. And if they're unmarked today, Jared, I can see some running goals. I can see the Hawks carrying the ball 50, 60, 70 metres before executing their opportunity in front of goal. And if that's the case, then the win's not a factor.
No, that's true. And it's one of the reasons I think if the Hawks are to win, the likes of Cyril and Isaac Smith could well feature in the Norm Smith medal, because they are going to be the great outside creators.
Fascinating matchup coming, Sandy. Can't wait to see whether they can handle the web or not.
No, we're really looking forward to it, Kingy, and the West Coast Eagles making their way out onto the MCG. This is what they've strived for all year. They have the photo taken, and then it's down to business. Derm, let's have a look at the Eagles lineup.
The original jumpers too, Sandy.
Yeah.
So we've got the, what have they been going now? About 28, 29 years, the Eagles. Let's have a look at this team that takes to the ground for the grand final today. Starting in the back line, the two key players there, Schofield and McGovern. McGovern, a wonderful intercept marker. Hearns in the back pocket. The captain there controls the outlet ball. Shepherd, he's a midfielder, Shepherd, who's gone back through necessity and been nothing short of miraculous. Yo's a wild card on the wing, and down the bottom there, Natanui in the ruck could be a game changer.
Yeah, we see the Hawthorn line-up there, fantastic. Like James Froy, the big matchup, of course, will play on Kennedy. I would have thought Lake would take the resting ruckman, no doubts, but it's in the trenches. It's where the war will be won. It'll be Hodge and Lewis that'll set the tone with their physicality and get the ball out to the runners of Hill and Smith. And down forward, Gunston's the one constant. He'll play there all day, of course. Ruffy will get up through the middle, and Schoenmakers going to be a key one. Can he take a big clunker? Just needs maybe a couple goals to contribute. But have a look at this great side on the cusp of history, 3 in a row.
And isn't this a great moment, bursting through the banner into another grand final, and you just want to get into it, and then some photographer says, come and sit down on the bench and we'll take a photo, which certainly does bring some lighter moments as well. But it is a great opportunity for this fantastic football club. Already 12 premierships on their belt, and they're looking for another one.
They're going to make it 13, Lynchy?
Yeah, I'm going West Coast Eagles.
You're going West Coast?
Not going to surprise me at all. I'm going West Coast.
Brownie?
Hawthorn by about 20.
Derm?
Yeah, I'm Hawthorn 20 to 25. I just have to say that running out in the ground, Sandy, apart from seeing your kids born, it's the best moment in your life. You run onto the ground, and just by the fact that you're entering an arena, 100,000 people within 100 metres in any direction, all scream, it is the moment of your life.
So we're set to go. The ultimate prize. Capacity crowd. The grand final.
Each of us find ourselves here
because we were once inspired.
We all grew up watching grand finals, and in one moment, something or someone lit a flame inside of me.
An individual act,
or a childhood hero lighting it up on the big stage.
Yates came off the wing and went straight for Dermot. Brereton has put him down. Matera sets sail for home, and the Eagles hit the ground.
Days like today leave a lasting impression. The whole country stops.
Who would have thought the sequel would be just as good as the original? This team of the modern era produces its masterpiece.
So to the next generation,
stand by.
Because today it's our turn to pay it forward.
It's our turn.
It's our turn.
It's our turn.
It's our turn to inspire you.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome and acknowledge our Cup legends, Peter Knights from Hawthorn and Dean Kemp of the West Coast Eagles, who will now be presented with the 2015 Toyota AFL Premiership Cup by Cup Ambassador Kane Corns. May the best team win.
Always stirring, the MCG on a hot sunny day, the 2015 grand final, as the umpires move amongst the players. The umpires this afternoon, Brett Roseberry, number 6, his 7th grand final, outstanding achievement. Number 9, Matt Stevick, his 3rd grand final. And number 16, Jeff Dalgleish, his 1st after just 119 games. Well done to the West Australian, Jeff Dalgleish. So, time to talk is over, and the big game just about to explode here at the MCG. We await the toss of the coin. Lingy, any final thoughts?
Well, I just expect to see one of the most fierce starts you'll see to a grand final. I think Hawthorn want to intimidate these West Coast players, especially the young West Coast players, expecting them to go after Gaff and Sheed, Josh Hill, these types of players, just trying to get in their faces a little bit, make them doubt themselves a bit. They would have learnt from what happened in the qualifying final. They know they need to put physical pressure on this West Coast team, but it promises to be an absolute ripper of a grand final today.
Sanders is Harry. Sanders, your call. Just a header and a tail. Tails is the call, and it's a head.
So the two-time premiership skipper wins the toss. Luke Hodge will go to the city end as we go down to Richo and Tim.
Yes, Dennis, and the noise down here is deafening, Richo. How good is it? But thankfully, I think for the players, we've just had a little bit of light cloud cover here too, so hopefully that will keep the temperature down a little bit this afternoon.
Yeah, it's definitely taken a little bit of the sting out of it. There's a bit of breeze around too, so with the fierce pressure early in this game, Watto, and a bit of breeze out in the middle of the ground, I reckon there's going to be a few kicks missing their targets today, and that's the key for the Eagles. They've got to make Hawthorn miss their targets. We know how good they are. If they do that, they're right in at the Eagles.
It's going to be a cracking first quarter.
That's for sure, Tim. What about that shot of Hodgie a moment ago? I mean, both you and Duck have been there, Lingy, and done that before a grand final.
And what a player he is, what a leader he is, Luke Hodge. And Duck, he would have just been reminding his players, we've been here before, we know what it takes, we have to go back to what makes us a good team and deliver it right now.
Absolutely, start's so important in big games, and this is the best time as a player before a grand final. That last 10 to 15 seconds before the balls bounce, the great unknown, what will happen?
That's repeating the subs this afternoon. Suckling and Rosa. Wait for the roar. And the journey begins. Mr. Chalk and Mr. Cheese. Nat Nui and Hale. Nat Nui out of the middle. First kick of the game. Long inside the forward 50. Kennedy worked off the line of the ball. Daly arriving quickly. Knocks it across the line. The behind. So one kick and a score. Hawthorn quickly come out. Jordan Lewis marks in the back pocket. Down the boundary is Hodge. Longer still. Gunston back in the team. Draws a crowd. Falls to Hodge, then bounced away from him. Fickle. Down goes Marston. Strong tackle. Burgoyne, the veteran of finals. Rewriting the record book for the Hawks.
Early statement from Nat Nui, Big clearance from the centre. Gets the tap again. Another statement. Lecrae has started off the centre wing. And Darling front spot boundary throwing.
Interesting, they've gone with Lake on Darling. Now we know Darling's a great athlete. There was conjecture whether he could do the job. Alistair Clarkson showing confidence in Lake.
So Mitchell there with Shuey at the moment. Let's see if there's a hard tag at some stage. Crowley famously did it a couple of years ago. Hale gets a second crack. He's gang tackled.
And it doesn't look like it's a hard tag, Bruce, but I think they'll have a real awareness around the stoppages. Yo just tracking him a little bit there, making sure he doesn't have too much influence on this game. James Frawley on Kennedy up forward for West Coast 2.
50-50, Shuey got a high tackle. He'll have a shot for goal, I reckon.
Probably a good decision by the umpire. Very lenient on the kick away now, umpires. Clearly the noise is as such. They don't hear the free kick being paid. So good decision by the umpire not to give a 50.
So much talked about taking your chances in this grand final. Converting set shots. What a start. What a start for the Eagles. It is so early, and remember that Josh Kennedy kicked the opening goal last year for Sydney. But Nat Nui, Shuey involved, and to take the set shot and to kick it sets the tone for the rest of the day, doesn't it? It can be contagious when you miss.
Big start by West Coast for Luke Shuey, and I don't mind this. West Coast players not being intimidated by Hawthorn, getting stuck into Jordan Lewis, who gave away the free kick. That's what they need to do. Not just wait for Hawthorn to do it. They need to get stuck in first.
Nat Nui the run again, slapped away by McAvoy this time. Mitchell under pressure, kicks it down towards half forward. Shepherd peels off, comes up and takes the mark. Runners alongside. It settles. Terrific back half of the season. Drives it down towards half forward. Darling's the target with the judgment behind its Lake and now 50. There's no crowd noise there. Lake takes off. Up towards the wing. Norm Smith medalist looks inside the 50. Kick is long. Down towards Hale. Hale comes from the side. Got hands to it. Couldn't hang on. McGovern slaps away. Rough head. Ducks out of trouble. Brilliant. Rioli puts it through. How about that for a start?
50-metre penalty, eh? Costly.
And Big Ruffy, this is his great strength. That's the first handball for the game. So clearly the players want to get the ball on their boot. Just so clever. He's a ground level player, Big Ruffy, for a tall man.
Well, Nat Nui ran into the umpire there, but still got the tap. Pritters, quick kick out of the centre. So a couple of clearances for West Coast early. Lake almost. Burgoyne tapped it back to Stratton. Good hands by Frawley, Burgoyne, Mitchell. And then Mitchell had it smothered. Good start by Lacroix. Hodge got it away. It was okay to Bruce and Shields. Not a good kick, and Hearn, who we know is a lethal kick, decides to go back to Ellis, who actually kicked the first goal for Hawthorn 3 years ago in the grand final against the Swans. Schofield back to Hearn.
You can see West Coast trying to control the footy here. They want to kick and mark and keep it off Hawthorn, but don't want them going too far backwards, I don't think, and just tempting that Hawthorn defensive unit to work up, keep it in their half of the ground. They've managed to get a boundary throw in now. I reckon West Coast have still got to take their chances to move the ball forward while they're controlling it.
Wallingham so good last week. Came through the interchange there on the lead, if you don't mind. McAvoy slaps it down. Lewis got it back. Birchall loops one. McAvoy in trouble. Side-footed towards the boundary. Was it up in the full? No.
And the Hawks have gone really tall inside forward 50, trying to expose the shorter Eagles defence. Hale, Ruffhead, Schoenmakers and Gunston.
You're spot on, Richard. In fact, Ellis at the moment has got Ruffy, so there's a distinct size advantage for the Hawks in that forward half. Lacroix up the ground. Hawthorn with a spare down back. It's Gibson. Good tackle. Got it away. Giray worried out of it. Shuey. Still Shuey. Should have handballed. He had Cripps running to the goal square.
Yep. Spot on, Bruce. Need to just give that little handball there. Would have made a certainty of it.
Short to the pocket here, Smith.
Thank you.
What a pulsating start. End-to-end stuff. The speedster taking his time. Hugs the boundary with a kick on the lead. Schoenmakers, strong hands. So much speculation about him during the week. Deserved his spot. From left half back, punishing kick. Up towards half forward, up the top, Sinclair. Knocks it away from Hale, roving the pack, Puopolo. Quick hands, got it to Gunston. Gunston goes back. Smith is run a long way quickly. Beats one man, under pressure. Gets a kick long down towards full forward. McAvoy, the taller man. Off position, Sheed takes the mark.
Well, that's the difference right there. They got the ball out the back. You can see there, that was a fantastic mark by Schoenmakers. That'll be great for his confidence, but they got it to a one-on-one against Sheed. McAvoy pushing forward. And we've talked, Richo talked about the height advantage. That was a terrific kick, and it got there quickly.
15 gone.
Started on the bench. Hale at the first bounce. The goal here. They've put Hawthorn in front. Goals coming quite quickly. Attacks all the time at the moment. They're risking everything. There's the goal. Hawthorn lead.
I was going to say he hasn't missed a set shot, but he actually did in Perth against West Coast with an absolute shinner, wasn't it, which went out on the full, but it's been quite a handy goal kicker forward. And Duck, not only did he win the one-on-one, I reckon Hawthorn had 3-on-1 just about.
Yeah, they did. They outnumbered them. They had the numbers 20 metres in front of that contest, but they got it over the back.
From that Ryan Schoenmakers mark, what it allowed Hawthorn to do was look at that, 3 Hawthorn players onto Dom Sheed in their forward line. Hawthorn, they're getting out the back. West Coast have got to be careful. They can't let those Hawthorn players running forward influence the play. Good mark by McAvoy, good finish.
Hale beats Sinclair. Lewis terrific. Puopolo, Smith, Hawthorn settling beautifully now. Smith to the pocket. Mark taken by McGovern. The plasticine man, eh? What a crazy year he's had, McGovern. Came from a long way back a couple of years ago, didn't he? Overweight. Hill. Important that he gets touches early. Gaff.
First touch for Gaff.
Measures the kick. Shuey has had some good moments. Probably should have given the last one off. Gives that one off. Creates something here. Wellingham. Cute kick. Finds Cripps. It's been good against Hawthorn this year, Cripps. He's kicked 4 goals in the 2 games. Goes wide. It was a bit sloppy. Marston waited. Is that how to play? It was. So just a bit slower for Mark than Marston, the boundary throw-in. He's had a quiet comeback. He's had the injury problems we know and a suspension late. Didn't do a lot last week. Was red-vested.
Constant roar at the MCG at the moment. Tossed in, Hale and Sinclair. Sinclair perhaps. Sheet over the football, heard the voice. Goes to his captain, Hearn. Lobs one down towards full forward, going back. Oh, wonderful courage. Burgoyne takes the mark. Stellar. The big bodies were waiting, and Burgoyne, oblivious to all of that, just took off. There's Mitchell out of the back pocket, up towards the wing. Wellingham ghosting across in front of the pack. 27 possessions last week. Told to play on. Driving kick inside the forward 50. Gibson committed to the pack, knocked it away. Taken by Darling. Fancies himself. Shouldn't have. Floats towards the opposite pocket. Wonderful mark. Smith lays on immediately. Gunston's away. Chooses the short option. Now he's a left-footer showing makers. Running for him to that position is Hodge. Hodge presenting. Out towards left half forward. Well, kicked it into the man on the mark. McGovern tracks it back. Confronted by Hodge. Made an error. Down goes Hodge. Down wins Smith. Coming through is Wellingham. Wonderful stuff. Got a hand pass away to Cripps to Yo.
Magnificent by Wellingham. Yo's kick. Good mark taken by Hill. And then Hill quickly on McCraw. Not quite well played. Burgoyne again. Burgoyne 31st final, 6th grand final. How good was Wellingham at half back?
Oh, this is some of the most sensational footy you would see. The ball is whizzing up and down the MCG, and as you said, hard and tough by Wellingham on Luke Hodge.
Lindy,
it's all going on.
He Hodged you.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
Smith's having an impact.
He has. Back. Gibson, all these lefties that we know so well. And another one wide. Shinemakers has settled brilliantly. I ran into Morris Rioli's widow today, Robin, on my way to breakfast, and we had a bit of a chat about Cyril.
Well, just that moment there, Bruce. Sorry to jump in, but Jamie Cripps has got to nail those tackles. You can't have broken tackles in grand finals. It just opened it up completely for Hawthorn, and what better man to have the ball in the hands of than Cyril Rioli.
Kicked 3 last week. First time he's kicked more than 2 in any final. Grand final specialist, isn't he? Rioli's got his second, and Hawthorn are now settling beautifully. Well, the hammies are right. He's had the conditioning this year. First time he's kicked 40 goals in the season. All Australian for the second time. Rioli's already won a Norm Smith. Right now he might be in front.
Well, it's been a different build-up for Cyril this year for this grand final. He's starting, and what a start it is, and that's a reaction. 2 goals in the first quarter. He's pumped.
Hawks led it by 9 points. Great bounce. Natanui wins it down. Prittis on the way down. Shuey been active. Floats this one towards the 50. Oh, what a mark. Darling this time. That's the part of the ground where some wonderful marking has taken place.
Well, who said contested marking has gone out of the game? It has been on display today, and that is as good as you'll see. Great body use by Jack Darling on Ben Stratton, and held on to it.
15 gone.
See, it's stating the obvious to say this is a huge kick, but this is massive.
Started with Burgoyne. Isaac Smith followed up. Darling a wonderful mark, but the kick not the equal of the mark. He tugs it left. And they trail by 8 points. Eight scoring shots to 3.
Spoke about making the most of your opportunities. Now 1-4.
13 minutes in. 5 scoring shots to 3. What do you make of it so far?
Oh, you just have to make the most of your opportunities. You have to nail those shots, because we know Hawthorn, it is about scoreboard pressure.
It's been an okay start by West Coast. I think they've withstood it a little bit. The scoreboard is the worry, though. If they can't kick another goal and settle those nerves more, Hawthorn manage one or two more, could get out of hand.
It's been a sensational start to the game. Nat Nui, he has! It was touched on the way through by that man, the oldest man out there, the third oldest Hawk to play in a grand final, and a lot of conjecture about whether he'd be playing today.
And he's had a good start, Bruce.
Yep. Here's Hill on the other side. Got it from Gibson. Rioli. Already kicked 2 goals. Swings it out wide. 2 to choose from. Lewis.
You can't let them get those marks like Rioli got there at centre-half back. They got through last time from that position.
Take something off the kick. Coming up was Bruce, not in time. Sensing the danger. Butler got across. Wonderful effort by Lake just moments ago. Big body to contend with. Got a hand to it. That was enough. Coming through is Frawley. Was it Stratton? The ball comes across towards Shields. Frawley it was. Butters up again. Drives it down towards half forward. The mark is taken by Bruce.
Kicking efficiency so important here. So Bruce to the pocket. Oh, huge fly, Rioli. It's an inspired start. So we talked about his uncle famously winning the Norm Smith in a losing team in '82, and Cyril here with a couple of first quarter goals and other efforts like that. West Coast just 7 points down, but they got to be careful. Hutchings hooks it back. Doesn't quite get it as far as he wanted, but in the end it was helped on its way and over the line. Hot day, arguably going to be the hottest ever. 30.7 is the hottest grand final in history in 1987. You've got to go back to 1944 before that. So against that, Nui Hale's free.
It was there quickly across to Mitchell, to Burgoyne. Dangerous Rioli again. Rioli is 40 metres out. Distance won't be a problem. He's shooting at his third. Adam Simpson, pensive.
Well, that's why Burgoyne is just so good, such a good deliverer of the footy. He only had him half a metre, Cyril, but the kick was so good, there's nothing Hearn could do about it.
Well, he's a tinderbox, and right now he's on fire. What a start. Single-handedly, he's been the difference. Kick is on the way, not this time. It's out of bounds on the full.
And it's a let-off for the Eagles, because they've missed a couple of chances. Had twice as many scoring shots, the Eagles. Remember the Dockers 2 years ago in that opening term? Nat Nui against a couple. Roughhead, who created the opening goal for the Hawks. Gibson, Giray, Birchall. They work it back. Stress-free footy for the moment. Get it back to Frawley. The only Hawk playing today in his first grand final. Hodge. And grand final champion Hodge. One of 3 to win the Norm Smith twice. Clever kick to his great mate in Lewis, a father this week. Good things happened to Lewis in September and October. So he's going to set it up. Wide, McGovern unopposed.
That's his great strength, McGovern. Sagging off. Intercept mark.
Back to Xavier Ellis.
They're finding it hard to move it from here, West Coast. They're going to get a 50, though. That will help. Hawthorn had them hemmed in really well. The 50 will just relieve a little bit of that pressure.
So Ellis comes up to the line of the 50 in midfield. Just waiting for the ball to come back, and while this is taking place, Hawthorn able to pick up around the ground despite conceding a 50. Wasn't a great 50 either. Here's Ellis. Goes to right half back in Wellingham. Just for the moment, the steam and the run out of the West Coast Eagles as they try and build from the back. Just jabs it in short. Butler. Still pretty warm in Melbourne. Bright and sunny for the moment at least. Bit of light cloud around close to the boundary line. Kennedy lays it off. Shuey runs that boundary, kicks it down towards the pocket. Awkward kick. Hill came hard, got hands to it, recovers, tracks it towards the boundary, and in trying to improvise, puts it out of bounds on the full.
Just a little nervy with ball in hand, I reckon, West Coast at the moment, aren't they? even making that selection of where to go with the ball.
Once Josh Kennedy took that mark, though, from the long kick, it was smart to play on and to move it quickly from there. I would have loved Josh Hill just to let that one run over the boundary line. Set up, get a boundary throw in, lock it in your 50 for a little while. Instead, just gave it straight back to Hawthorn.
So Gunston in the back half, as we so often see him. Schofield has a second crack. Ball comes loose to Bruce, to Hodge. Clever kick actually gives Rioli half a chance. He engaged early, Rioli. Wellingham and Rioli. Hill, good tackle on him and a boundary throw in. Wellingham, of course, with those grand finals with Collingwood. Premiership player along with Ellis and Butler, the three that have won the flag in the Eagles team today.
Hale works in front, wins the tap too. Pritis goes after it. Hacked out of there, inside the forward 50 by Shields. Eagles bring it back out. Here's Darling. Plenty of runners in the midfield, but he went behind them. Kicked it straight to Smith. Smith to space. Roughhead takes off. Won't get to it on the full. Lets it bounce. Jumped in the air. Hit the ground kicking. Pulls it back. Deep in the pocket. Bruce claiming a mark. Or did he go out of bounds? Play on was the call. Diving in there was Hearn. In real trouble down there, that defence at the moment. Wellingham flicks it across to Shepherd. Couldn't find a way through. Got it to Butler. He scrambles a kick. Only about 30 metres out. Birchall gets it from Mitchell and punishes them. Indecision cost the West Coast Eagles.
Played 21 finals, Birchall. This is the first time he's kicked a goal in any final.
Well, it was the pressure that led to that Birchall goal. Just desperate to keep the ball in there, Hawthorn. Sam Mitchell clever with his hands. He's a beautiful kick of the ball, Grant Birchall. They're taking their chances, the Hawks. The Eagles aren't.
Jack Darling's kick, eh? Puopolo, Mitchell getting busy. This is what Hawthorn did to Sydney last year. Late in the first quarter. That may be a chance for a turnover here. She taken down, free kick.
You don't often see that. Luke Hodge giving a handball that misses a target by that much. That led to the sheet free.
Can he find a target here, or can somebody take him up? It's a good kick, but he's just going to pop it up to full forward. Gibson, well, I think he almost marked it, but Darling puts the tackle on. They keep it in West Coast. Gibson will think that he's marked that.
West Coast need the goal now, not just for the scoreboard, just to settle their nerves down right now. They're a bit apprehensive. They're worried about what that scoreboard is saying right now.
Burgoyne to Hodge.
High ball outside the 50. Ellis from behind thumped it down. Bruised. Too slick for even Rioli. He snaps it wide though. Wonderful recovery, but Shepherd had other ideas. Tries to crash his way through. No way through there. Hearn got it into the path of Marston. Now it's 2-on-1. Quickly, that changes though. Puopolo. Sinclair battles on after the ball. Puopolo falls on top of him. And we get a ball up just inside the boundary. Giray, the last hawk up. And Sinclair had a couple of chances, at least half chances.
McAvoy engages him early. Gaff on the right side for him. Gets it to about 50. Lake underneath it. Frawley, Mitchell roving it. And then keeping the ball in, Ellis, the old hawk, takes the mark.
Bruce, you just mentioned Gaff kicking the ball then. He's only had 2 disposals. Marston only had the 1, so they're not getting anything from their outside runners at the moment, the Eagles.
Shepherd's kick was a bit wobbly. And now Schofield forced to go. Pressure. This is important. They don't cough this up, the Eagles. Hawthorn mounting a real surge here. Shuey gets a bad bounce. Props and tops. Did well. Just fended off Stratton. That's good play by Shuey. Kept his composure. And here's Marston, who Richo talked about a moment ago.
Yeah, you said the word composure then, Bruce. That is key to this for West Coast. They have to hold their nerve the last 4 minutes here. They want to generate another goal, of course, but they cannot cough up one to Hawthorn.
Butler got it from Lacroix, kicks it up towards half forward like a soccer goalkeeper. Gibson, two-fisted, got it away. Hodge on the outer side, kicks towards the pocket. Did it bounce in? Yes, it did. Still a live ball. Schofield and Rioli go at it. The boundary throw in.
Yeah, you're spot on, Leggy. That's exact. Look at the spoil from Gibson. You're so good at that, but you're so right. They have to have the composure, but at the same time move forward. They do need a goal before quarter time.
So McAvoy wins that tap.
Play on, Dutch in, play on.
Heard the umpire.
Fine. Let him up, please. Thanks. Head to 1 metre. Thanks, Luke. Straight back.
Sinclair doing a fair bit of the ruck work in the opening term.
Play on!
Haven't seen a lot of Pritis early, have we?
No, just looking at his numbers, only the 2 disposals so far.
So
Brian Lake there, just playing as that deepest defender, making sure they keep it intact and don't let West Coast get over the back of them.
Throw. Go through.
So again, Schoenmaker's a throw.
And Richo's already mentioned Marston, 3 disposals, Gaff 2. You throw in Sheed 2 and Pritis 2. Their real midfield core hasn't really got their hands on the ball yet, so they need to lift their rating and their work rate in the middle.
So Marston trying to get it as far as he can and as wide as he can. Kennedy worked over cleverly.
They can't allow that. That's that 2-on-1 that they're just so good at, the Hawks.
Lake, a spiral. Attempted spiral anyway. Falls like space junk down towards half forward. Gaff, a little 1-2 with Butler. Ample time for Gaff now. Normally deadly with his feet. Just made Shepherd stretches at left half back. Gunston goes after him. Good chase. Affected the kick over the head of Shuey. Gibson at the feet of Roughhead. Knew where the help was. Burgoyne, here's danger. Long towards the pocket. Going back as Schoenmakers. Step for step. Schofield did brilliantly. Just reaching across his man and got it with a fist out of bounds.
Not a great kick from Burgoyne in the end, was it? Because he just kept floating towards the line.
It's not often he misses a target when he's got that much time and space.
Top of the square would have been dangerous there. Pritis winning that one. Gaff just starting to get a little bit of the ball now, isn't he? Ruffy just overran it. Shuey's been lively. Now Pritis working on that left foot. Again, Hawthorn with numbers. Nat knew he made a good effort. Lake and Frawley really combining superbly in the opening term. Lewis had to fetch it. He did it comfortably enough. Gets it to Shields. Good looking kick. Gunston, Pritis was good. Gaff, Butler. And Butler's kick. He's coughed it up. Oh no, Lake's missed the mark. Lacroix on the up. Important ball this one. Could Cripps worry them out of it? He doesn't. Gee, that was well done by Birchall.
Terrific start. Little 1-2. Gibson across to Bruce. And now it's with Frawley. Frawley down towards the 50. Butler will fly from the side. There's a free kick going to Xavier Ellis.
Hawthorn are just too well organised down back at the moment. Lake, Birchall, James Frawley, all of these players just setting up perfectly. Again, Hawthorn got the outnumber with the long kick down the line.
More ball for Gaff, though, off hands, and it rolls out of bounds. They need more from their small forwards, in particular, the West Coast Eagles. Hill, it's not done very much, and neither is Cripps. They've got to get involved, at least putting pressure on down there.
And at the other end, Rioli's kicked a couple, hasn't he?
Yeah.
McAvoy worked to the front. Nat Nui probably won it. Pritis. Well done, Nat Nui. Bulldozed Gibson out of the way in the end. Haven't really called Yo's name as yet. He got a bad bounce. Terrific tackle, Pritis on Smith, ball up.
It's a good point you make, Lingy. They're making them kick down the line. The Eagles, they've missed a couple of targets going back through the middle, so they've lost their nerve a little bit. Got to make sure they still go for that kick. Just have to execute the skill correctly.
They're so tentative, I think, and frightened they'll create a turnover by missing their target. Hawthorn winning that stoppage. Ball not out cleanly, though. West Coast, Hutchings. Shields. Lacroix worried out of it. Well done, Giray. That's a big win against Lacroix. To Hill. Maybe a late goal for the Hawks. To Hale. To Ruffy. Now Ruffy's got Cyril.
And that's how you can expose the web.
Cyril's got Hill. And Hill's going to kick their fifth. Well, Giray beating Lacroix in a one-on-one at half-back created all of that. They find themselves where Sydney were this time last year. Well, this is it's not good.
This was a huge contest here. Giray and Lacroix, the fumble from Lacroix, the strength from Giray. Just the composure then, and Cyril Rioli in the forward line has been brilliant this first quarter. Got the ball over to Hill. Hawthorn playing brilliant football. This one will be recalled, but he did limp off the ground a little bit there, Hill, and just got the doctors checking him out. That's a concern. They need his run today.
Suckling is the sub. Matt Nui knocked it forward. Burgoyne in the opposite direction. Prittis under pressure, incorrect disposal. Boost ran him down. The appetite, certainly, and the energy with Hawthorn. That way by Mitchell. Smith, who started very well just forward of the wing, kicks towards the pocket. Not a good kick. Not the spot for it. It's knocked across the boundary. Puopolo and Butler. Butler in the shadows, as are his teammates.
Nat Nui. Well done, Bruce, to Smith, and Bruce couldn't quite keep it in. So 19-point margin. This is what Hawthorn led Sydney by in 2012 when the Swans got over them. They were 2 goals in front of Freo 2 years ago, and they were 20 points in front of Sydney last year. So for the 4th consecutive grand final, they've made a good start. There's a long way to go, but Hawthorn off the back of some great footy from their leaders. A couple of goals to Rioli. They did 30-11 in the grand final at quarter time.
We saw Brad Hill come off late in that first quarter. What can you tell us about that injury?
Yeah, that's right, Timmy. After he kicks that goal, he immediately hobbled over to the bench, and we thought, oh no, he's pinged a muscle here, a calf or a hamstring. But it's more of a knock on his calf down on his left leg. He had it rubbed, so it might be a little bit of a corky. They definitely can't afford to lose an outside runner. As we see him coming off here, it looked pretty severe, but he's got it moving now. He'll be okay. Can't afford to lose a runner. They didn't go with Billy Hartung. They've gone tall. Can't afford to lose Brad Hill.
And we've lost that cloud cover as well, and we have a new record, though. This is officially now the hottest grand final on record. The Mercury is at 30.8, eclipsing the record at 30.7. And in set shots this final series, the Hawthorn side are going at 28 goals, 8 behinds. Accurate again today. That's at 78%. Tony Lockett, the greatest goal kicker of all time, 70%. So they're in rare form, the Hawks.
On your tip. So quarter time, the first quarter dominated by Hawthorn. There's so much energy about them, as we saw last season. Is their calling card really, Doug?
It is. They're such good starters. Just so important now, without stating the obvious, that West Coast get the ball out of the middle and get an early goal.
They're big-time starters, aren't they? The bigger the game, out they come with attitude. Start the second term. Nat Nui goes up high. Rioli has kicked a couple. Paddles it down towards half-forward. Still he goes. Met in the opposite direction by Butler. He stood firm. Gaff falling to ground. Shuey to Prittis. Hurried kick. Lacroix came at the pack, but it's juggled in front by Burgoyne. Gee, he's been good.
Sure has. Dennis goes wide. Good kick. Showmakers has settled. Here is Hill running strongly. That's a great sign. Misses the target, though. He had Puopolo. Gaff under pressure. Gets it back to Shepherd. Well, that kick going straight to a cluster of Hawks. Mark taken by Giray. How good was he last week in the prelim? Out wide to Smith, who started brilliantly as well. To Birchall. To Rioli. All stars in that opening term. Rioli with a couple of first quarter goals. Now he's hugging the pocket here, wanting Hodge to win a one-on-one against Schofield. Puopolo got a high tackle, back to Hodge. That's a goal, I think. It is. Hodge has done it from nowhere. We shouldn't be surprised, should we? He is, well, it is October, but he is Mr. September. It was never going to miss, was it?
Left foot, check side from 40 out.
I'll give him the Norm Smith now, Duck.
Well, Cyril had confidence in him, didn't he? He went to him on the one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Luke Hodge, what a champion he is. Off one step from the boundary, the banana, and what a reaction that is in front of the Hawthorn fans. That is huge.
No one has got three Norm Smiths. Yo, been quiet. Hutchings kicks it down towards half forward. Hodge, great start today. Leading by example, Burgoyne following him very closely. Birchall across half back. Here he is again.
They've got massive issues at ground level inside their 50. The Eagles haven't had an uncontested possession in their forward 50. The Hawks are just running it out at will here.
And Richo, they're just completely calm now down there. They're organising. They know that they're not under that much threat.
Now they're getting through like this, Slingy. Yep.
Shields gets it from Hill, centering ball. Now the left footer takes the mark. That's Lewis. 60 metres out from goal. Gunston comes. No one really coming with him. Runs a long way though. Now he'll get it, or will he? Goes over his head. Puopolo coming up into that vacuum behind Gunston. Has marked about 5 metres in from the boundary, and this is not beyond the little fellow.
Well, they're so good at hitting their targets, pinpointing. We know that the Eagles like to zone and guard space.
Steps inside the boundary. Not sure about that kick. Wanders across the front of goal. Bruce momentarily had the run of it. The opposite direction. Mitchell, McAvoy, Gunston misses to the near side.
It's just one of the great goals, isn't it? One of the great grand final goals.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
So the captain goes Longhurn, gets it almost to that centre square. Sinclair, it didn't stick. Hutchings can't get through.
Who's going up? Got to shepherd in there.
Prittis, handball cut off, free kick.
High contact. Picking it up. Hold there.
Lewis
Right
down and dirty as he does so well.
Well.
And a great grand final last year, great season. Giray. Just so much time here. Kicks to the pocket. Shepherd overran it, but a boundary throw.
And because these Hawthorn defenders now don't feel like they're under pressure and the ball's not living down there, they've got the confidence to run off, set up from behind, use that uncontested footy like you said, Duck, and they're kicking it over 70%, Hawthorn.
Roughhead uses his body, clean possession. Then sprays it to the opposite pocket. Schofield goes back, gathers the bouncing ball. No one really up ahead though. Works a little 1-2. Butler gave it back to him. Now the mark is taken by Cripps. Well done, he ran hard. He presents at left half back.
Lake's back. We've got nowhere to go down the line at the moment.
Just dead ends confronting the Eagles. High ball. Sinclair over the top. McGrath, who's been quiet, knocked it down. Sinclair hand passes it forward. Yo runs it around that other side wing. Over the top. Gaff. Normally good by foot. This is no exception. And the Coleman medalist gets on the end of it.
Oh, you talk about making... I was going to go short. Captain. Well, we talk about captain's goals. We saw Luke Hodge kick an absolute beauty a couple of minutes ago. He just has to kick this goal. Has to give his team confidence.
And you go back to that game against Adelaide for Hawthorn. Luke Hodge, the first goal from about this spot. The captain's goal, we said at the time. Well, West Coast need one now from their skipper, and it's hit the post.
Oh. Struck it well, didn't he? Just held the line. Frawley. So Kennedy quiet early. I mean, he's probably was in range a moment ago, but he did the right thing. Well done, Roughhead. Really well done. Mitchell. Still with Mitchell. Now he asks Schoenmakers and he gets the bounce, Schoenmakers. And then Schoenmakers to a vacant forward line. Rioli waiting, over the top. Gunston, he won't miss. It's pretty easy right now. Well, it's a crisis point, isn't it? It is. You've got to a point where there's no wriggle room. Next goal is everything.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a season of toil in the next couple of minutes.
Well, again, Hawthorn just opening up the ground. Cyril Rioli getting out the back. Jack Gunston getting out the back. Fantastic finish by Gunston. It was a crucial contest, one on the wing. Jared Ruffhead won the ball, fed it out. They are just dominating all over the ground at the moment, the Hawks.
Rucks go at it. Shuey, Sinclair. Didn't get fist to ball. Umpire lets them play on. Off the ground by Mitchell, out wide, taken by Hill. Back to Mitchell. Lays it off. Giray so good last week. Misses the target this time. Hearn, who hit the post moments ago, dragged off the footy. Swooping on it. He's lively as Smith goes to Hill. Short one to Gibson. Plenty of time to go back inside the defensive 50. Now they've got 2-on-1 to the outer side, but he decides he can't get the trip and comes to Frawley. So the MCG is a big ground. It's proving too big at the moment. The West Coast Eagles. Hearn does very well. Got to a contest and thumped it away from Smith and put it out of bounds.
It's just that much wider than Domain Stadium, so it's hard. If you're guarding space, it's a lot wider. There's more holes, easier to get through for Hawthorn.
36 minutes since the Shuey goal, so West Coast in a critical position here. Burgoyne, Birchall got it from Gibson. Can't lay a tackle, can they, the Eagles? Lake. Yo was the flyer, but now Wellingham. Hot handball by Sinclair. Well done, Sheed. Sinclair.
Oh, look at that pressure, Bruce.
Yeah. And that's good pressure that time from the Eagles. And now Hearn gets involved. That was Cripps on Mitchell.
When Wellingham picked up that footy then, West Coast were out. There's Billy Hartung. Well, he's enjoying a nice cold beverage there, Bruce. Just watching his team put on an absolute display at the moment. Their pressure has been outstanding.
Deemed a throw against Shuey.
So he's might have been a little bit harsh.
Scoop or a tap, but the scoop called, so.
Push out!
Ruffhead has been excellent.
Umpire Rosebery in perfect position to see it. It goes down towards half forward then. Gunston outmanoeuvred. Puopolo, though, clever, knocks it to his own advantage. Releases Bruce, who tries to pull it back towards the middle. Why not? Rioli is lurking. He finished up on the deck, though. McGovern kept his balance. Hutchings comes away. Nothing down the ground. He's run down by Rioli. His hands were quick enough, or were they? Heard the umpire explaining it beautifully. Watch it again. Well, he said the ball popped up, then you hit it. Bruce, meantime, hits it back to Gunston, and Gunston has got another one, his second.
Been amazing, Rioli, hasn't he? I mean, Rioli's effort in this first quarter and a half has been fantastic.
He's been the most influential player on the ground.
For sure.
Oh, this is why Hawthorn and everyone loves Cyril Rioli. It's not what he does with the footy, it's what he does without it. And that chase, I mean, that's just superb. He's been the most influential player on the ground.
And Hawthorn just dominating with that possession. 34 kicks to 8 so far this quarter. 15 marks to 3. Just total domination across the field. And it's, as you said, Duck, from efforts like that defensively as well, they're creating the turnovers and then they're just slicing through them.
Gee, they've lost their way, the Eagles. Hawthorn at their magnificent best. Hale was the third man up. Schoenmaker's bruised. Burgoyne's got the distance, but he hasn't got the accuracy.
I reckon Rioli almost needs a direct match-up now defensively. He's just finding space far too easily inside 50. I know the Eagles haven't done it all year, but he's loving it not having anyone standing next to him.
And Richo, when the ball's coming down that quick too, it means that he can find space and he can give dummy leads and he can get out the back. He needs pressure on, or West Coast need pressure on the ball carrier if they're going to try and contain somebody like Rioli.
So Shepherd's kick cut off by Frawley. And then Frawley back to full forward. Hale, Burgoyne, and that ball out in a boundary throw into Hawthorn. They are a ruthless team, we know that. And it's going to be such a long way back now for the Eagles.
Just basking in the sunshine and the scoreboard. Those Hawks fans. In front, Hale directs it down. Flying past was Hodge, didn't take it with him. Burrows in again, though. Wonderful goal to start this term. Deep in the left full forward pocket. Hale told to move on. Nothing to see here. Plenty to see here at the MCG. Gaps kick bounces to Birchall, and Birchall measures the kick inside. Too much carry, though, for Bruce, who sustained his run too long. Butler, little 1-2 with Schofield, but not the first time. Pulls it back towards the middle. Bounce beats Darling. He's been very quiet. Stratton across to Birchall. Gives it to Gibson. Getting directions from Puopolo. As a result, he gave it to Smith. Smith goes long. It's a searing kick, cutting through the afternoon. And another goal. Powerful kick. No hesitation in pulling the trigger.
A great team right now at the absolute top of its game. Isaac Smith from the boundary, outside 50, great goal. No influence in the qualifying final last time they played West Coast. He set himself for a big one, and he is having a monster.
And he's got some mates, hasn't he, Lingy?
Yep.
So 9 consecutive goals. In last year's grand final, they kicked 9 goals to 1 from halfway through the first to halfway through the second. History repeating itself. Ruffy almost on the end of it. Schoenmakers has done well. Cough that up. Hearn, great tackle, Ruffy.
Go through. Well battled. Let him up. Thank you.
Gee, they must love playing with Ruffy. Just how fierce a competitor he is. Great tackle on Hearn then.
Nat Nui just got over the top. Hale actually doing some roving.
All right. Keep separated.
What a stunning effort this is from Hawthorn. McAvoy gets a second crack. Shields squeezes to Hodge on the wrong side. Oh, just missing.
This was similar to you guys in 2007. When you're in the zone, how good is this to play? Because right now, Hawthorn absolutely on top in all areas.
Absolutely. It's a great place to be, but you also just know from this Hawthorn team, they're not going to stop. They're not going to let up at any stage. They're going to give West Coast no chances if they can. West Coast might come a little bit, but this Hawthorn team, so ruthless they are, they're going to keep that foot down.
They can't lose their nerve here. Going back through the middle, that's exactly what they have to do. If they play safe, they're no chance, West Coast. They have to play brave footy, but hit targets.
Shuey's hand pass didn't. Shepherd gives it back to him, though. Now Shepherd's got it from Shuey. Looks down towards half forward. That's better. Hill very quiet. Takes the mark close to the boundary. Short. It bounces into the shins there of Belidding Kennedy. Brilliant pickup by Hill, though, and he snaps. I think he's kicked a goal out of nothing. Wonderful.
Gee, another time, another place. I think people would be jumping around and saying, how good was that? They just need they need 7 more of them, don't they? It was a great finish. He's done that all year, hasn't he? 40 goals for the season for Hill now, 40 goals for the year.
Oh, this is a fantastic goal. Took it upon himself to kick the goal, but it was brave play. They made a mistake off half-back, but they came back through the corridor. They have to do that all game. They're 7 goals down. They've got to take chances.
So Hill, 40 goals this year now. Prittis, gee, had a chance to get rid of it and didn't. Gunston tackled.
They've contained Matty Prittis pretty well at those stoppages. He's been getting his hands on it, but two Hawthorn players getting to him, so he can't get that little feed off. They blocked it perfectly.
Nat Nui. Ball nearly out. Mitchell. Duray off a step, but he gets a fair distance too. Floats it forward. Well done, Schoenmakers. Playing like the defender that he was. Schofield. Great effort by Schoenmakers. Having a grand final moment. Isn't that good? Played in the losing one in 2012. Did the knee. Missed out last year. Probably last man picked, to be honest, today, and doing it well.
Inspirational stuff. If they needed inspiration, they arrived with it. Tossed in. Nat Nui reaches over the top. Sheed follows up. Hutchings under pressure close to the boundary. Stays in, then goes out. Bounced out. 56 plays 18. Midway through this second term. Grand final. One-way traffic at the moment. Nat Nui directs it down. Pritis couldn't control it. Reaching in his Hodge. Lacroix emerged with it. Gaff a little 1-2 with Hutchings. And then into daylight. Across it comes to Wellingham. Kicks inside the forward 50.
Terrible kick.
Yeah, behind Darling. And the mark taken easily down there in defence.
Just had to put that to space. Darling was running back deep inside 50.
Burgoyne to Duray.
And Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy, absolutely no influence on this game so far. Only the 3 marks between them. Hasn't been helped with that ball you're talking about, Duck, but somehow they have to get those key players into the game.
So Duray, in the earlier games against West Coast, he was the sub in round 19 in the quali. Good hands, Puopolo. So deliberate. So going forward, deliberate. So Hearn to relieve a little bit of pressure, but the pressure's all on that scoreboard at the moment.
Hearn's high ball then. Missed at the back by Darling. Stratton sweeps a hand pass wide. Hill close to the boundary line. Using every metre of the MCG. Puopolo centering ball. Rioli surrounded. Got hands to it. Found it on the bounce. Almost got it out of there too. Over the top, Shields. Keeping it in front was Hodge. He was dragged down. Got a hand pass to Schoenmakers. Got the arms free. McAvoy, brilliant. Got it to Mitchell. Duray lines up. Going back. Oh, just touched across the line by Ellis.
Well, that forward line for Hawthorn, they just keep the ball alive, don't they? Little tap-ons, little handballs out. They're the best ground ball team in the competition inside their forward 50. Compare that to what we're seeing down the other end of the ground, and it's the Hawthorn defenders who are just cleaning everything up.
Nat Nui pushed. So the advantage, Hutchings. Gaff running hard, kicking to space. Not really to the advantage, though. Cripps was good. He engaged Frawley. Does he keep it in? He doesn't in a boundary throw-in.
Eagles can't get the ball, Bruce. 187 to 128 possessions.
57 to 18 on that scoreboard. McAvoy probably got his fingers to it. Sinclair, well done by Hodge. Just cut off Shuey for a moment. Can West Coast jag one from here? Hill's goal broke the drought a moment ago. Sinclair trying to get through. Nowhere really to get through. Pritis at the coalface. But Hawthorn with numbers around the ball.
Who's going up?
Can Nat Nui create here by getting over the top? He doesn't really get a crack at it. Then tries to get it out. Darling and Hutchings, ball in that pocket. And I think it's going to be a boundary throw-in. So West Coast again with a stoppage. Left forward pocket.
39 points the margin. Not completely lost, but well on the way. Sinclair, who's battled manfully, put the body in. Shuey. Oh, down he goes. Treated him like a beanbag. We've got a ball up in the pocket. Shuey. Well, it's going to be a free kick, is it? Incorrect disposal. That's the least of his worries. Hodge has got the footy in the back pocket, then just lobs it across to Lewis. Quietly effective. Up towards centre half back. Wide. Rough head. Duray under no real pressure. Almost as if the Eagles conceded that ball. Duray then the next link in the chain. That's a good mark by Crawley against quality opposition who hit him in midair and the ball couldn't be jarred out.
Real credit to him. He had a disastrous game in that qualifying final. Bit of pressure on his spot in the team. He has responded with now 3 really good games, or 2.5 really good games.
And it started with Tex Walker here, didn't it? Yep. And then Matty Pavlich last week. Schofield juggling. This is where Poppy is so dangerous. And Schofield out on the fall there. Just a little bit of panic setting in. And that situation, Mitchell to fall forward. Bruce.
Holding the man, West Coast. Holding the arm down.
Good call, I reckon, because Bruce engaged.
He did well, Gaff, to get back, playing on the wing, got back and covered Bruce.
He's worked hard, Gaff. He's up to 15. He's got busy. Sinclair, Darling. It's had an untidy first half, Darling. That kick now, Kennedy completely outnumbered. Difficult here for him. Chief Frawley played him well there, didn't he? And then Ruffy to back it up. Mark missed by Duray. Back to Shields. Back to Roughhead.
Out against the boundary line. Miscues with a kick. Awkward for McGovern. Lost it in the sun. Charging through was Hale in the opposite direction. Wellingham played it well. Sheed, Hutchings, Shuey. Sheed once more. On the break is Cripps, but the ball doesn't hit him on the full. As a result, he's stymied. Has to loft this one. Hearn is waiting. Thumped away brilliantly. Lake got there in time. An errant kick now. Gibson could punish them the other way. Rioli swings it across the ground. Chance for Hale. First things first, he's going to track the footy. Does that. Goes short. Well, showed a bit too much of it to the defender and thumped away down there by Shepherd.
Well, we just saw what skill execution does. In the end, they probably dodged one there a little bit, West Coast, but going into their forward line, that kick just didn't quite hit the target. Held up, Cripps had to sit it up again. Lake got over for the spoil. West Coast just have not hit their targets enough in this first half.
Gaff. Working really hard here, Gaff. Hutchings, great play, Burgoyne to Roughhead, and then Roughhead gives it a roost. Kicks the ball to the goal, square Rioli. Almost dangerous here. Shepherd, Hill. They try and fling it out. Marston off a boot. Sheed outnumbered. Hawthorn with all the numbers. The structure just so good for them. Stratton. Gibson holding up through the hips. Stratton goes back to Frawley, and then Frawley getting it out wide. Birchall takes the mark.
Setting up beautifully, aren't they? That quick kick out of defence for the Eagles. The Hawks always got numbers back. And that defence now, that is just chock full of confidence.
And they can do that because the pressure on the ball carrier is so immense.
Blood rule, Hawthorn. Let's hold it. Blood rule, Hawthorn. Thanks, Ben. Straight off.
Ben McAvoy it is coming off with the blood rule, but they've just got total belief now in the way they're setting up the Hawthorn defenders. They trust that their teammates are putting on pressure down the ground, and they're doing as they like.
Jack Gunston just waiting. Back in the team for the big game. 53 goals for this season. A best of 6 against Carlton. We did 5 goals against the Eagles, round 13 of 2013. Not thinking about that now, though. He's thinking about a premiership medallion. Another one as he drives it long. It'll fall about 25 metres short. Roughhead was in front. Shepherd did well. Marston back to Shepherd. Up to midfield, taken by Kennedy. They've got some run here. Cripps to space. Lacroix tracks it back towards the pocket. Look at Smith, the speedster. Now, that ball was going out of bounds. Lacroix sensed it, but Smith probably sensed it too, but just went for a gallop.
They have to remain to be brave, the Eagles. They have to go for those kicks. They just need to hit their targets. They can hit a few more targets, start hitting the scoreboard. They're not out of this.
Sinclair had a second crack. It's been nearly 13 minutes since a Hawthorn goal duck, but
just some poor decisions and poor skill errors by the Eagles. Just tidy that up.
Well, they've got to erode this lead before half-time. They need another goal or two, you would think. Over the top, Yo. Cripps. Butler can kick a goal from here. Straightens up and misses. Premiership player with the Eagles, the only Eagle today that's played for the club to win a premiership.
Gibson short along the boundary line. Good tackle by Butler. Slings Stratton over the line with the footy.
if West Coast can turn this little period where they've been able to have it turn into a bit of an arm wrestle into one, preferably 2 goals. It is a hot day. Hawthorn have had the extra travel. Get into half-time and talk about what's going on out there. It's going to be a free kick to Hawthorn, though. Great attack on the ball by Jordan Lewis. They just have to find a way to give themselves some belief at half-time. Work through things a bit structurally. They cannot concede another goal, obviously, to Hawthorn. They've got to kick one themselves.
So these next minutes crucial, even though there's a whopping margin on that board. Shuey didn't get a good bounce. Gee, Mitchell should have got a free. Giray towards the line, boundary throw in. So the great ones for the Hawks have been good, haven't they? Roughhead 14, Lewis 14, Mitchell 17, Hodge 14. They've all done their bit. Rioli's been outstanding. Arguably the most influential player of them all. Lacroix, he's got a little bit on it. Mitchell. Hutchings took them on. He's gone.
Holding the ball.
Second time he's been caught holding the ball, Hutchings, in this quarter.
That's what you love from your ruckman too. David Hale following up, just nailing the tackle at ground level.
So Giray off that step. Puopolo lurking at the back. Marston searching. Quick kick from Sheed on the wrong side for him. Now, West Coast had the numbers in the front spot. Lacroix. Hutchings was loose there, couldn't quite get it to him. That was brilliant by Frawley, having some sort of a first half. And now Birchall.
Short, too short as it turns out. Gaff, big second term, big first half, coming up for his 17th possession. First 10 minutes were slow. He's really picked up the tempo, unlike most of his mates. Here's Darling. He's about 70 metres out. Goes short to Lacroix. Well, that was a kick in hope. Thumped away from behind by Frawley. Smith, no way through there. That was ambitious. Marston, a quick handball. Hutchings pulls it back. It's turning away from goal. In the opposite pocket, it's still in. They run after it, but eventually it goes out. We'll have a throw in.
Gee, Hutchings missed a chance there. He had a loose player forward for the handball and didn't take it.
Just those couple of times throughout this first half, it's been that. They need to just do the simple things well. Give that, make an easier chance for your teammate to have a shot at goal.
Nat Nui, Prittis ridden into the ground. Marston, good tackle, Hodge. Wraps him up. And again, a good example of what you talked about earlier, Lingy, with Prittis. Just no time and space at all when he gets first hands.
And they're almost reading it that he is going to get first hands on it, but bang, they're just straight onto him.
Again, Nat Nui, but again, it was Mitchell. Lewis hurled up by Prittis. Ellis worked his way well. Prittis can kick a goal here. And he's missed. Well, they just haven't taken their chances, have they, since Shuey's opening goal?
You're playing against the Hawthorn Football Club, who've won the last 2 premierships. You cannot kick 2 goals 8 in the first half of a grand final. They're too good for that. They need to somehow lock it in here. What have we got? 44 seconds remaining. Just kick a goal for their belief, for their confidence. It's going to be a terrible feeling going in at half-time, but just something they can grasp onto.
Can they rally? Tossed in. Hale, first hand to it. Roughhead in the grasp. Got a hand pass away. Birchall bowled over. Well done by Prittis to Gaff again. Sends a high ball inside the forward 50. And Yo, for his size, a wonderful aerialist. Haven't seen much of it today, but just floating in front of that pack. And takes a wonderful grab. That's his first mark of the day and only 3 possessions. That's skinny. Still. The clock is running. He may well kick this one after the siren. We're down to 3 seconds now. Yo, who's had a terrific season, needs a very good kick here. This could be a tonic. It's trying to work back. He's got it. Oh, that's big. There's a flicker of hope. At least they think so. The place is simmering. Hawthorn, a big lead a long way from home. Half-time in the grand final. They lead 9-3 to 3-8.
1 points the margin. Only one team has come from this far back, and some, and that was Carlton in 1970. They were 44 points behind on that occasion. against Collingwood. So much for this team to do right now.
Yeah, they've got to do everything right from now. Jack Darling needs to lift only the 2 marks for him. And what he needs to do is engage his opponents, either Gibson, Frawley, like one of those, because they're on when Josh Kennedy gets any space at all, they're coming and helping out with him. Chris Marston's got to lift only the 7 disposals, has not put the ball inside 50 yet, so he needs to have an influence on the game. And also Matty Prittis, the Brownlow medalist, the star player, only the 9 possessions. Compare that to Sam Mitchell for Hawthorn, who's had the 17. Matty Prittis, they've smothered him pretty well, Hawthorn. He's got to get back to his creative best, release some of those running players. They need to nail every single moment if they're going to be any chance at all. But that Hawthorn team, they are just so great, so ruthless. You just think they're not going to let West Coast back into this game. If they can somehow, just over the next 10, 12 minutes, West Coast kick 3 goals to 0, just work their way back into a manageable situation, we might have a game on our hands. It's such an important first 10 minutes of this third quarter.
A little bit of a carbon copy of last year and what Hawthorn did late in the first and the first half of the second, but it has been 18 minutes since Hawthorn has kicked a goal. So maybe if West Coast could get the first 2, Hodge has been outstanding. Mitchell already now, by 17 disposals, has had more disposals in this final series in the history of the game. He went past Dane Swan in 2010 today.
Wow. Well, that's what he does, isn't it? When you want your good players to stand up, your leaders to stand up. Mitchell's had a great game. Lewis has been great. Roughhead's been great. Hodgie's been fantastic. They have stood tall. West Coast players, their leaders, have got to do that in the second half.
If you talk about Sam Mitchell, twice he's had 40 possessions in a game, both times against the West Coast Eagles. He feeds on them. Started the second half then. Half-time came at a bad time for the West Coast Eagles, and as much as they did have some momentum. And there's the scene, the Cauldron, on a Saturday afternoon in October. Promised much, needs to deliver more. That's not the fault of Hawthorn. Start of the second half. Nat Nui with the run. Up he goes, hooks it down. Hodge didn't have the football. No free kick. Prittis. Hutchings sends the ball down towards half forward. Tracking it back is Birchall. Bounces away from him. Some urgency now. Gets it just inside the line. Works nicely with Lewis. And that's a clever kick to Hodge, who looks across the ground. Giray coming back is Cripps. Gets a contest. Giray took a good mark, and there's a man on. In fact, a couple on the wing. It goes out wide to the dangerous Roughhead, coming up for another possession. That is his 16th.
Kicked 5 goals in the grand final last year, 4 of them in the second half. Stratton pokes it down the line. Rioli and Shepherd. Prittis, good hands. Can he find a target? He does. Cripps. Inside to Gaff. Been prolific, Gaff. Good kick. Big chance early. Lacroix in good hands, you would think.
It's amazing when you execute your skills correctly. That's what they were able to do. Take the ball from one end to the other. See there, get back quickly. Hit your handball. Then Gaff clever enough to lower his eyes. Don't just bomb it away. Use the footy properly.
It's about where Yo was in terms of distance and angle. Of course, at the other end, 67% of the time this year from a set shot is goal. This would give them 3 consecutive goals in the match, remarkably. No, not coming back. Or is it? No, it came a little late, but it's a behind. So 3-9 to 9-3. Same number of scoring shots.
One thing to just take note of is the Eagles have actually had 18 less interchanges. So if they can just push here and get a couple of goals, you never know. That might be a factor later on.
Burgoyne in his 6th grand final, close to the boundary line. I think that was a mark. It was.
Gee, that's a good grab, Dan. That is a strong pair of hands from Liam Shields, and their contested marking today has been a real highlight, the Hawks.
Lewis gets it from Shields, who took that mark. Towards the wing, ill-directed. Out of bounds on the full, didn't matter. Butler grabbed it on the full, didn't juggle it. So Butler, dogged by injury during his career, premiership player, sends the high one back towards half forward. Nat Nui has been quiet. Up he goes, hands to it, couldn't hang on. Prittis wriggles free. This is a very high kick. Still in play. Hutchings through his fingertips. Rolls out the back. Mitchell. Brilliant pick-up. Hodge sold into trouble. Bearing down and doing pretty well there was Gaff. Spills to Mitchell. Prods it to midfield. Hale. Too easy. Stepped around Marston. Comes out wide Rioli. Nothing is deep. He'll hang on now. Rioli wants some movement. Decides to go short. Schoenmakers.
And then Schoenmakers had it smothered. May get a second crack. Asks a lot of Rioli. Rioli brilliantly done to Gibson, to Burgoyne, shrugs them off, handballs a little wide for Bruce. Shepherd, well done, to Cripps. Cripps goes wide. Important ball this one. Hill's been quiet. He kicked a miraculous goal. Kept his feet importantly. Keeps the ball in down the line. Yo waits for the bounce. Frawley and Yo, they backtrack. Frawley with the bigger body. Yo rides him over the line. Boundary throw in. That was a bit of a win for West Coast.
Oh, big win. Just weren't able to hit their targets. The Hawks. Oh, there was a couple of 50-50 balls there. They had to win that.
Margin 30 points. Still winnable for the West Coast Eagles. Showing better signs late in the previous term. Now in this one. Hodge to Burgoyne. Kicks it down towards half forward. Good defensive mark. McGovern hit the ground running to Butler. Storming across the ground. On the angle is Hearn, the captain. Gets away. Looks inside the forward 50. Now can Darling take a mark? Yes, he can. There was a flicker.
Well, it's that type of play that they missed in the first half, wasn't it? Clean. Got it to their captain, who we know is a beautiful user of the footy, and when he hits the ball, it gets there hard and low. That gave Darling a chance to run and jump at it. That was a beautiful kick.
It was a perfect kick, wasn't it? Just got it to his advantage. He must kick this. Really poor first half from Jack Darling. He can get his team rolling, though, if he goes back and slots it.
Kick is on the way, and it's good.
Well, you picked him out, Lingy, at half-time. First bloke you spoke about. They've kicked the last 3 goals of the match.
Yeah, they will start to believe. It was 56-12 at one stage. They've pegged it back. They've got a glimmer of hope now.
44 points was the big margin. Back to 24. Nat Nui gets over the top. Hill runs into a couple and then cleverly actually gets the ball into that forward 50. Lake. Stay out. Just so strong in the body. Just ragdolled Sinclair. Mitchell. Giray. Puopolo. First time you feel like Hawthorn's been challenged for a long time in this match. And Burgoyne runs it over.
It's another 50-50 win there. Wasn't paid. Get that out of bounds, they can start again.
And just for the first time today, you're just starting to hear the Eagles crowd find some voice down here at ground level.
So Sinclair and McAvoy. Hodge. Marston, Mitchell. Mitchell so good. Okay, so against Mitchell, below the knee.
Don't mind that one. He did take out Marston's legs. That's a good call by the umpire. Again, got to find a target going forward. Marks inside forward 50. Been so hard to come by.
Shuey's so good normally at breaking the line, but Hodge held him up. Back to Ellis, and then Ellis with a high ball.
Just inside the 50, Yo creates his own space, couldn't take the mark. Smith over the top, crashed to ground. He's going to get a free kick taken high. Number 17 there is a man they desperately need, the Eagles, Josh Kennedy, a Goldman medalist, goalless this afternoon. Smith, dangerous kick, just in, Stratton. Saw the replay. Still tough, and the Eagles are coming, at least for the moment. Wellingham knocks it down. Gaff goes with the right boot, and the mark is taken there by Smith.
Been great today, Isaac Smith.
He's been good above his head. He's taken some really strong, courageous marks.
Such an important player to the wing. Schoenmakers was up. At the back, Shepherd goes hard. Brilliantly done. Puopolo went down. They battle for the footy. Head down, Burgoyne. Went looking for Puopolo. Rolls across to Prittis. Hurriedly on the boot. Smith again. Moments ago had it across half back.
To Mitchell. Back to Smith. Oh, gee, this is big for the Eagles. Shuey breaks the line. Well, he had so many chances, Shuey, to do something good.
And he had two players running with him. That's that composure to know that the three of those could have run that all the way into the goal line, Duck.
I tell you what he hasn't done today, handball in the forward 50, Shuey, for the second time today. What
he just had too many choices.
Here's Gunston. So much good work. Unstuck. Hawthorn slightly shaky for the minute. Leading by 4 goals, but not flowing as they were. Lewis. Neat kick to Schoenmakers. And now Rioli lurking at the back here. If he can get it far enough. And he doesn't, and Ellis gets it over the line. Well,
Is this Luke Shuey option here? Had the support runners. They could have run that all the way then. Instead chose to kick and cut off by Taylor Duray. It was a chance that went begging.
That's basic stuff, that is. Two outside runners just draw the player.
Hearn, straight up the middle then. Kennedy, under it, off hands, Duray. Too tall for Mitchell. Oh, well played, Sinclair. Slapped it across to Lacroix. Sheed finds himself in space. Dropping back, Darling. Spilt the mark, Darling. Then he fumbled it away. Stratton didn't need more than one chance. Gave it to Duray. The short one comes across to Lake, and the danger is past. Lake held the play on. Was it touched on the mark? No, it wasn't.
There's two certain goals gone begging now. Shuey and now Darling. How did he drop that? That's hit him on the chin.
Might have been the sun.
So Hutchings. Lake and Birchall. Good mark, Lake. I reckon the most interesting thing is the way Hawthorn are playing. I mean, they're actually struggling at the moment.
Right, Bruce, they look like they've lost their energy from the first half.
They get a chance here, Tim. Puopolo. Good kick to Rioli. Oh, brilliant. And then Rioli, quick as a flash. Shepherd against the tide. Did pretty well. Hill goes to the pocket. Gunston over the top. Schoenmakers gets the goal. Gets the important goal for them.
Well, that's the difference between the two teams right there. One makes the most of their half chances. The other one makes a couple of big mistakes. And that's the difference between the two teams right there. One makes the most of their half chances. The other makes two big errors inside 50.
Shepherd was brave, but outnumbered. We're back in the middle. Matt Nui with a run. Fist on it, but didn't knock it very far. Shuey runs under it, though. A hand pass down towards half forward. Hutchings got an unkind bounce. Shuey came again. Couldn't find a way through. Ball jarred loose. Hodge gives it across to Gibson. And Gibson was measured to Burgoyne. He's the defensive side of right centre wing. Goes down the line. Brewster's been quiet. Tried to gather the bouncing ball, didn't quite. Finds it on the deck. Hand passes in hope. Plenty of Eagles wide. Puopolo could have been taken high. Sliding in McGovern, picked up by Wellingham. And he's escorted across the boundary. A throw in. 64, plays 33.
And for all that West Coast domination during the first part of this third quarter, they have made no inroads into that score. Hawthorn have held strong. West Coast have wasted chances. But that's what they do. They're just a quality, ruthless team. They find a way to stay involved, to score, even against the tide. And West Coast, they can't just keep giving chances back to Hawthorn. They're too far back to do that.
10-4 this week, 15-4 in the prelim final. So Gaff off that step, gets it to centre wing. Kennedy being quiet. Frawley having a bit of a day like Lake did 2 years ago, isn't he? When he won the Norm Smith against the Dockers. Not suggesting he's in front today. Rioli might be hard to beat there. Sheed That's if they win, of course. Here, rather, Shuey. Gaff. Ellis arcs the back. Can he find a target? Not quite. Sinclair had butted up. Birchall protecting the ball cleverly. Hill, Darling. Hutchings has had a quiet day. That'll help. They're coming a bit, I reckon. Just in general play, they're on top.
Definitely on top in general play. They have to translate that to goals and a few more of them, but they do have the momentum at the moment.
Really, when you look at that score, the next goal is everything. I mean,
it's huge.
It is absolutely everything in this game. If they get it, it is game on completely.
Just able to win contests in their forward 50. Well finished by Hutchings. That's what they have to do. You spoke about those half chances before, Doug. Every single one of them needs to be nailed if they're to be any chance of pegging this back.
Nat Nui leaping high, knocked it down off the line. Birchall charges through midfield, goes short towards half forward. Schoenmakers wrapped up by McGovern, slung to the ground. Ball is wedged under the pair, and we'll get a ball up.
All of a sudden, the Hawks just missing a couple of targets. Birchall misses that one.
The Eagles have been brave. Nat Nui again taps it down. Spills wide. Schoenmakers quick hands. Rough head in the grasp. Taken down. Incorrect disposal. So Hill wins a free kick. He's quick, and he must do that. Apply some pressure. He's got the ball at right half back. Looks towards the outer side. Supporters of both clubs can sense momentum changing. Yo is up in front. Offhands Darling at close quarters, trying to go to Sinclair. Guess who? Hodge, a cool head. Burgoyne back to his skipper. Hodge goes with the right peg up towards the wing. Roughhead missed the ball. Falling to the ground. Good hand pass. Too slick though for the big fella. McAvoy lost it. Gaff goes in and clothed it up. Shields into clear air. Kicks it down towards the 50. Up goes Rioli. Fingertips to it. Couldn't hang on. It's 2-on-1. Rioli soldiers on. It came across to Wellingham from Schofield, and this one runs out.
Oh, they're winning some 50-50 balls now, West Coast.
What about Rioli's presence? So even there, I mean, he put a shiver up Schofield's spine, didn't he? Real heat in the game here for the first time in a while. Lacroix banging forward. Kennedy. Gee, Frawley having a day. Belting it back forward, and Gunston's taken the mark, unopposed in the end. Read it best.
Wellingham needed to be better than in that contest, but well done by James Frawley. Wellingham had to go back and help out. Needed his teammates talking to him. Couldn't let Jack Gunston just come in that and take an uncontested mark. But James Frawley, he is doing everything right against Josh Kennedy.
So much doubt about Gunston whether he'd play or not. He kicked 4 against the Dockers. He's a dead-eyed Dick. He gets his 3rd in the grand final. Well, Josh Kennedy has had such a remarkable year. He just had to be better in the one-on-one.
Well, he just lost the side of the ball, didn't he, in the contest. Frawley recovered better. Just had a knack in the last 10 minutes, Hawthorn, when they've gone forward to kick goals, all the play with West Coast.
So it's back to the half-time margin, 31 points. Fine acquisition. Gunston does so much. Helps out in defence quite often. Nat Nui improvising, kicks it down towards the 50. Frawley goes back with confidence now. Giray got it from Gibson. Burgoyne goes across the ground, and Hill bearing down his Cripps. Hill almost into his move. Tossed across the line, discarded, and the ball spills into the fence. Now or never for the West Coast Eagles. Haven't taken their chances in this term. Shuey elected not to hand pass at one stage. Darling dropped a mark. A vital time in the game. Hawthorn the better side for most of the day. Lewis was in there after the footy. Hale is tied up by Sinclair. Ball up.
Pritis working hard, doesn't really get an effective kick away. Good hands from Bruce. And then Mitchell's kick to half forward. Belted it from behind was Wellingham. Cut off by Rioli to Bruce. And then Bruce gets it out wide to Puopolo. Gunston again, the danger. It's a brilliant kick. So Rioli and Puopolo, and then Gunston's gut running.
What about Cyril Rioli's intercept? Quick hands to Luke Bruce. Puopolo with the run, as you said, and this kick is absolute perfection to Jack Gunston. And he's a big-time finals player, Jack Gunston.
A piece of play there, the complete opposite to what Shuey did. That's exactly what he had to do, draw the player. Bruce able to do that. Pick the right options. That's why they've been the best team for so long.
29 goals, 8 as a team in the final series this year from set shots. He's kicked 4 for the second time in a grand final. There's a long way to go, but that moment of genius from that man there may have been the pivotal moment. It's a brilliant kick by Puopolo as well.
We talk about why Hawthorn is so good in big moments. That kick there is extremely difficult. It had to be perfect to Jack Gunston between two West Coast defenders. They just execute every single time they get half a chance.
Shuey to Butler. Naitanui was good moments before. Marston confronted. Gets this kick off, but he'll direct it. Hodge on the end of it. A legitimate contender for another Norm Smith. Very short to Mitchell. Now he goes across the ground. Birchall, so important to them. Roughhead, and the strut is back now. Hawthorn, feel in control. This is Hale around the corner. Lewis running hard. Butler comes to him. They met in midair. Butler did well. Thumped it out of bounds. That hurt Lewis with a boundary throw in. And they can sense it slipping away now. Been that sort of afternoon.
Two of their key defenders there, Brown and McKenzie, who went down.
And when they went down, I think we all said the West Coast were no chance to be here on this day.
Holding Sam Mitchell.
So they've done well, but Sam Mitchell free kick now.
Eagles are about to make the sub, guys. Rose is up and moving.
So that was against Hutchings at free. Mitchell up to 24 now. Only Andrew McLeod in the last 60 years has had 30 disposals in 2 grand finals. Mitchell with a chance to join him today. Wide he goes to Ruffy. Been terrific, Ruffy, without hitting the scoreboard. And Ruffy pops it up. Schoenmaker's big fly. Smith in the pocket. Clever. Oh, better than clever. Brilliant. He's kicked 2 sensational goals today. Do you know what? The last 10 minutes sums up this footy club. Yeah. How they've responded just is a great illustration of why they are the best.
Well, they were challenged in this quarter, the last 5 minutes. That's just a brilliant goal. Summed it up beautifully.
A little bit of Will Langford in last year's grand final about that one.
How about that? That's acceptance. An Eagles supporter gave him a high five. That's like taking a knee, tapping out. Mitchell on one knee. Keeps it alive, at least initially, for Hawthorn. But after it, goes Shuey, dragged down, had it a while, but he's penalised.
Every part of the game they've done well. Tackled well, pressured well, certainly kicked well and won the ball well. 3 goals from their last 3 inside 50s, Hawthorn. So as you said, Duck, they had the momentum against them a little bit, but they responded with just clinical execution.
Burgoyne got it from Shields. Sinclair was the man subbed out. So Rosa into the game. They've gone for legs now. They're a long way off the pace again. Hawthorn seemed under pressure just 5 minutes ago, have made their move decisively.
So accurate again today. 13 goals for. Hodge, Hearn, just blazed and kicked it straight to Mitchell.
I think that's their great ability, Hawthorn. When they are challenged within games, they're still able to get that goal. They're still able to keep that scoreboard clicking over.
So Lake, he's justified his selection. That hung a long time. It was so important that Hill didn't go to ground there, but he did. And Frawley gets it back to Shields. Geray tries to turn his man, and he does successfully. Sean Makers has been very good. Clever move, good kick. Gunston again. 5 goals in a grand final is rare air these days. Nobody in the 2000s has kicked more than 5. Now he's sitting on 4.
There's the goals they're kicking today. Hodge and a couple of others.
Put this down as a certainty.
Right.
It's a post.
He had a good go at it, but it's probably been the big indicator of the day for me, the kicking efficiency between the two teams. Hawthorn going at 72% at the moment, West Coast at 55%. West Coast missed their targets, missed their opportunities. Hawthorn, they have nailed every single one of them.
Sign of a good side. That weakness they take advantage of. Roughhead comes to the football. Rosa, the sub. Butler hooks one up towards the wing. How will it bounce? Towards the boundary line and goes out. Jack Gunston injured in the final quarter of the qualifying final, and then in a race against time, and look at him this afternoon.
Bit of history coming up. The last sub ever will be Matt Suckling, about to come onto the ground.
Now Nui laid it down. Prittis, Lacroix to Prittis, to Cripps. McAvoy did well, the big fella, the big boy. Gets it to Gunston, doing it all. To Lewis. Back he goes. To Lake. To Frawley. How well have they cherry-picked in the last few years when you look at those names?
As Richo said, bit of history there. Matty Suckling just jogging under the ground. The last sub we'll see. Thank goodness for that.
Sean Makers.
Hail, Lingy. That's it, he's off.
So Stratton on, and have a look at this down the ground. Puopolo. Now he'll try and turn Yo. He's got Suckling, he's just come on, and he couldn't keep it in. And Suckling sucking them in now after running hard from the substitutes bench.
Margin 44 points. Approaching three-quarter time in the grand final. Nat Nui surrenders front spot, still got a hand to it. Mitchell slapped it wider. Mitchell goes again, trying to crash his way through. That was brilliant. Into the path of Smith, keeping it alive. Shields. There'll be a ball up as Puopolo tackles Gaff. Only about 15 metres out directly in front of Hawthorn's attacking goal. It's been a surge of powerful proportions as far as the Hawks are concerned. Nat Nui knocks it down. McAvoy threw a boot at it, so did Chewy. He was more successful. Sends it outside the defensive 50. Now, with time to assess, Birchall comes back to Gibson. And Gibson is about 60 metres out from goal, man on the mark 55. Just sets it up, down towards full forward. In from the side, Gunston. He's feeling it now. No way through for Ellis. X marks the spot as he crashes to the turf.
Thank you, thank you.
So Nat Nui has to do all the ruck work now. Sinclair. And the subbed off. Mitchell finding a way. Suckling in a beautiful spot. Gets the goal. Comes on the ground. Well, the maestro Mitchell,
Sam Mitchell doing what Sam Mitchell does, just creating for his teammates. In congestion, great handball out to the sub, Matty Suckling, and he loved it. But Sammy Mitchell's had a big game, 27 disposals before three-quarter time. That is massive.
Mitchell, the 08 Premiership skipper. Prentice digs it out of there. Well done by Cripps. Hutchings inside the forward 50. McGovern up in front. Chance here for Kennedy, but Lake does very nicely. Frawley swings it wide now. Hill short to Suckling. It's interesting, I mentioned Mitchell, the 08 Premiership captain. At that stage, they spoke of Hodge as the spiritual leader. Well, they had a job swap. Ball is on the wing. Herb, not a particularly good kick, and Lake has stood up remarkably well.
That's mark number 9 now, Dennis. That's what he does so well. He defends well, but
the kick or not?
he takes a heap of
pretty well too.
Just take the kick. Just hang on.
Takes up a little bit of time off the clock.
Not a very good bedside manner, though, by the ump.
He talked about the fact he wants to play on next year, and there's a lot of conjecture whether it'll be at Hawthorn or not. He might have got himself a contract today for somebody. Great mark. Gee, showing makers, eh?
Feel happy for him. He's done it the hard way. Knee Rico, losing one, missed out on one.
Well, Frawley and Schoenmakers, I'll go to at the end of this match, won't they, in a big way. Yo. Butler, good tackle, Hill. He's been quietish after an early goal. Looked like he'd hurt himself, Hill. But back on that ground in a hurry.
Billy Hartung, he'd be so happy for his teammates, for his footy club, but you couldn't blame him for just really wanting to be out there himself. I'm sure he will have a wonderful career beyond today.
As Sam Mitchell says, he'll get his lick of the ice cream. That's what they say at Hawthorn. His term probably will come. Oh, well done.
Oh.
Summed up that quarter. The courage there from Hodge. Well, have we seen a more graphic display of a great team? Challenged, and then the response. Hawthorn surely on their way to a three-peat. Surely, surely. They can feel it and taste it. One last message from the Messiah, eh? As we go down to you, Tim and Richo.
Well, Macca, I think from the moment we said that their energy levels looked a little bit low, they found another gear in that quarter, Hawthorn and Richo. A lot of it has been on the back of a superb defensive effort.
Yeah, right across the ground, but particularly the back six today, holding this West Coast team to 5 goals. No goals out of LeCras and Kennedy, the top 2 goal scorers for the year. Just an outstanding defensive effort by that back six today.
Well, the margin is 50 points. They've led all day. Although, it needs to be said, the West Coast got the opening goal. He's been terrific. That's the prize. Peter Nates is probably getting ready. Still a quarter to go. Good bounce. Natanui knocks it down. Rioli, Mitchell, another possession. 29 drives it inside the forward 50. Helped on its way by Gunston. Leading the race down there is Roughhead. And the ball goes out of bounds. Duck, what about the Norm Smith? A quarter out.
Oh, there's a couple of Sam Mitchell, certainly. And I've loved the game of James Frawley. Under all sorts of pressure 3 weeks ago. He's been great the last couple of weeks. He's been big on Kennedy.
How would that look? Brian Lake in 2013 and Frawley today. That's recruiting. Prentice, Wellingham, Shuey, and now Rosa.
With a high ball. Up to almost centre wing. Hill. Going backwards. And not that successfully in the end. Free kick.
Take West Coast.
To Cripps.
Jamie, yeah, back around the mark, please, thanks. Play on.
Quiet afternoon, but he hasn't been alone. Rose are trying to make an impact. Good kick to LeCras. Missed the set shot in the third quarter, LeCras, when West Coast were making a move. These days define your career a bit. LeCras hasn't been able to really hit it, has he, today?
There's a few blokes in that boat. Sadly, all the emphasis, magnifying glasses all go onto this day, and if you don't stand up, it's a long, hot summer And a big winter footy season next year before you get another chance to redeem yourself.
Kicks right on 50. And can't nail it. So a couple of behinds from set shots. By the way, Mitchell's disposal a moment ago. He's had 100 disposals now against West Coast in the 3 games he's played so far this year.
They're going to bring it in. Disappointing with their set shots today, the West Coast Eagles. Burgoyne takes them on to Giray. In a rich vein of form, sends it up towards the wing, and that's stuck. Gunston. The longer it's gone, the better he's been. Mitchell has been there since the outset. Getting in behind them again is Rioli. It was the story early. High ball towards full forward. Let it go. Well, he marked it. No sense of occasion, Ruffy.
I think Cyril was just standing back there. Come on, Ruff.
He doesn't mean that smart.
He was passing it though, Cyril. Certainly wasn't having a shot. He was doing the right thing to give it to Ruffy, but...
Yes, but fate intervened. Now, Roughhead, a young man who had his problems midway through the season. The comeback is complete. Well done.
Well, they turned last year's grand final into a rout, didn't they, against the Swans? 63 points on that occasion.
Right, thanks, guys. Thanks.
This will be a fun time now for a lot of those Hawthorn players.
Could they? No, absolutely, Lingy.
I reckon another 5-8 minutes and the lead stays the same or grows. They'll start relaxing and really enjoying this one.
So Mitchell gets his 30 disposals. Hodge on the end of it. Piercing pass out wide to Hill. He's got Ruffy again. And then Ruffy, does he check side it? No, he goes, well, it looked 15, not paid. And then Gaff wraps up Gunston. Ball not out. Suckling doesn't get a kick away. Ball still not out. Marston, Hearn, great smother Ruffy. Marston, Bruce, free kick. Oh, he was high. And Smith kicks the goal. It's a goal to Smith. He's got his 3rd. It was messy in there, to be honest.
He's been huge, Smith. Started the game really well, but his influence on the game, he's run and carrying 3 goals from the wing. Oh, that's massive.
He's actually had a very good goal-scoring final series. I know he started slowly in Perth, but he's had 1, 2, 1, and now 3 in the finals off centre wing. That's big stuff.
Well, it was a bit of a mess in there. A free kick was paid to Luke Bruce right there for that high one. Cyril again with the handball out to Isaac Smith, and well, what a game he has had. He's had a big final series since that qualifying final where he wasn't at his best.
Lewis
3 goals.
Slings it over the shoulder. Hodge broadens things. Birchall goes down towards half forward. Roughhead had to wait, knocked away by Wellingham, close to the boundary. Dismissive by Roughhead. Brilliant. Over the top, Bruce. 70 metres out. On the move down there, Hill lost it completely. Schofield, Gaff, Marston, Wellingham and Gaff. Marston once more from half back. Kennedy, that's a rare sighting today. After a wonderful season, goes down towards half forward. McGovern is the target. He used a lot of strength there, held his position. And now Hill running goalward. No, I wouldn't. Oh dear, what a terrible compromise.
Brian Lake, love that. The coach would love that, playing the game right to the very end. Ex-teammates at the Bulldogs too. Oh, great play, Brian.
He read that so well, didn't he? Clarko loved it. Don't often see him smile in the coach's box.
I think Brian has made him smile before today.
Made him pretty angry at times. Not on grand final though.
Yes. A couple of ex-Bulldogs together, and not quite the Heath Shaw smother for Brian Lake, but it was pretty good, wasn't it?
That's fantastic.
You asked before, Bruce, whether or not they'd know. They're enjoying this now. This is the time where, one of the rare times on grand final day where you can run around and just soak it all in. The Hawthorn crowd is getting up and about. Just been a sensational effort. They can now run around on the home of football on the biggest day and just enjoy every single second of it, because they're about to have their hands on that cup.
So a boundary throw in. Normally, it was interesting, Brian getting around there smiling, but normally I think he regards things like eye contact as acts of aggression. We've got a ball up, it's tied up just in front of our commentary position now. We've had a bird's eye view of a wonderful team, one of the great teams of all time. McGovern goes up, slaps it down, Shield slaps it away. Lewis to Mitchell, racking them up still. There's no other way, down towards half forward. Over the top, Rioli slaps it towards the boundary. Shepherd is battled manfully, takes it across the line.
So McGovern to do the ruck work. Then Shields, lovely kick. And Burgoyne. 31st final. So only Michael Tuck's played more finals than this man. 6 grand finals to date. Won a premiership with Port Adelaide in 2004. He was on the end of a shellacking, wasn't he, in 07 by Geelong, the greatest winning margin, 119 points in the history of the game. Doesn't get it, really. And that's a bit of a problem in the behind. He's played very well, Burgoyne.
No pressure on him. Normally goes back and kicks those.
Hearn to bring it in. Straight up the middle. Lake, who's been the master in this battle, almost the mark against Kennedy. Spills to Priddis. Can go over the top. Kennedy clear of Lake. For just about the first time. Cripps gets on the end of it. He's directly in front. About 30 metres out. Spent some time with St Kilda. His brother, an emerging star in the competition. A chance to kick what will be the 6th goal for the West Coast Eagles if he gets it. Kick is on the way. Goes violently left to right and through for a minor score. Just brushing the post on the way through, but should have done better.
It's been the story of the day, hasn't it? Taking your chances. The gap's just so massive anyway. Hawthorn have been magnificent. Completely outplayed them in the end. Smith to Roughhead. Great hard running from Smith. And then Roughhead to Hodge. Tell another great final, Hodge. Not sure if it'll get him another Norm Smith, but he'll be in the finalists. And then Suckling with a dart to full forward. Yo at the back. Wellingham to Butler. Very short to Gaff. Been manful, Gaff. High 20s now for him. Back to Wellingham. 4th grand final, 3 with the Pies. Of course, the draw. Shuey ripped away. Schoenmakers. Schoenmakers, good kick in the end. And Poppy with a chance. No, he's going to kick it wide and give Stratton, who doesn't kick a lot of goals.
Hasn't kicked one yet this year. Bruce, only one in his career.
117th game today, so 1 out of 117, eh?
That's nice of Poppy just to bring him into the game. As I said, it's an enjoyable time right now where everyone's getting involved, and I reckon the Hawthorn boys will get right around Ben Stratton if he kicks this one.
This is the most important kick of the day.
Lining up now, Lingy.
Can Stratton do it? Pressure's actually on him. They're 10 goals in front.
They've got to get Gibbo down there, boys. Put him to full forward now. Gibbo hasn't kicked a goal for Hawthorn.
Exactly right.
My informant tells me Ben chooses the music down in the rooms before a game for Hawthorn. The informant was Jack Gunston, who didn't really think much of the music, just put his teammate away. As Butler drives it outside the 50 from behind Hill. Roughhead took a swipe at it. Shuey arrives and knocks it out of bounds. Well, the music will be up-tempo tonight for these Hawks. Carving their way, and their coach's way too, into the record books. Some great names and a great team. Matt Nui, his progress stopped by Hodge. Schoenmakers, Shields lines up and just misses.
Well, Wayne, you were involved in 7 consecutive prelim finals and a couple of flags. Lingy, you were part of an incredible Geelong period. 4 grand finals in 5 years and the 3 flags. But just maybe to get this into perspective, what this team has been able to achieve over the last 3-4 years.
Absolutely, absolutely special, Bruce. Just brilliant effort by this Hawthorn team.
So, well, to think that they haven't always been the favourite in their grand final. They were the underdog last year. They got up and absolutely smashed Sydney. They go in as the favourite today. A lot of people, I'm included, thought West Coast would make a better account of themselves. They are just the best team in the comp. They do not rely on any one player.
And the system,
that's why they're the best.
And the system, Duck, is set up for them to not be able to do this. The draft, the salary cap, all of that is set up for a team not to be able to win 3 in a row, not to be able to win 4 in 8 years. But they've done it. They've recruited really smartly. Brian Lake, James Frawley in, developed some quality players. They've got stars like this bloke here, Jared Roughhead, right across the ground. Just a totally dominant display.
Bit of showtime now, Lingy.
Yep.
Are they the best side of all time?
Well, given the 18-team competition and the system that's in place now, yes, is my answer. Better than any team in the past.
Gee, that's a big call. So Bruce down that wing.
Schoenmakers has played very well, earned his spot. McAvoy and Gunston. Now he's kicked 4, Gunston. What a comeback it's been. As I mentioned earlier, went down in the 4th term at Domain Stadium. It looked a serious injury. He was hobbled for a week and a half, but came storming back into contention. And has carried that form through on the track to this afternoon. He's a fine player. Originally drafted by the Crows. Steps inside the 50. Kick is on the way. What a fine kick. It's out of bounds on the full. Hit the behind post.
Only 4 players have kicked 5 goals in a final this century, so he's on the brink, isn't he?
And let's not forget what they've done this final series too. They went to Perth, lost to West Coast, had to come back and play the extra game, had to go back to Perth and beat Fremantle, the top team, the minor premiers of the competition. It has just been an unbelievable effort now. 4 finals and they've won the last of them, the grand final.
And Lingy, the off-field stuff. I mean, they lose a coach in Bolton. Brett Ratton tragically loses his son. Ruffy has a cancer scare. There are a whole lot of issues they've had to deal with off the field, as well as they stream forward again. Gunston couldn't quite. Shields, so workmanlike. Gaff getting close to 30. Rosa run down brilliantly by Bruce. Hutchings gets it out. Gaff getting to that 30 stage. Cripps back to Hutchings. Oh, he went without it, Shepherd. Hutchings can't quite. Schoenmakers holds him up. Gibsons holds him up. And that is just indicative of what's happened today.
Sums it up perfectly. We marvel at their skill and their ball use and their goal kicking. But that is part of their game they do so well. Their pressure, their contested footy. Just great play again. Well done.
Shuey smothered by McAvoy. Shepherd back to Shuey. Rosa. And now Butler. Left centre wing. It's a long kick inside the forward 50. Darling was up, couldn't hang on. Gaff off balance. Mitchell. That's a jewel off the ground by Hodge. How about that? Mitchell tackled by Prittis and standing a metre away Hodge. That's not a place to get an easy kick. Prittis gets it across towards Rosa. His kick's offline and it goes through for a minus goal.
Hasn't had a shot on goal today, Kennedy, which is quite remarkable. Ben Stratton's had more shots on goal than Josh Kennedy today. I mean, you just couldn't believe it, could you? Rioli. Did he do enough to get the Norm Smith Rioli in the first half?
Oh, he was the most influential player in that first half. I thought he was enormous.
And that's where the game was won. It was set up in that first half. Gee, Sam Mitchell's got a big claim to it, though.
There's a couple of names there, Lingy. Smith comes to mind.
Yep.
Rioli, Frawley, Mitchell, Hodge.
Even Jared Ruffhead as well. He hasn't hit the scoreboard as much as you'd think he normally would with this sort of margin. He's kicked the 1 goal, but he's actually been brilliant as a ground level player. He's had the 25 disposals, 8 score involvements, so it can be like the old under-10s, Bruce, just a team effort for the Norm Smith.
All played well, eh? So Marston got it from Wellingham, kick cut off. Giray had to wait 4 years, Giray, before he got a game, eh? Taken a 69 in the draft. And what about this guy? For the D's, and now going to play in a premiership in his first year. Suckling. They share it around. Back to the hard-running Smith. Improvising. Mitchell down low. Prittis and Mitchell side by side on Brownlow night again tonight. Back to Hodge. Hodge, who kicked the most amazing goal in the second quarter, kicks to full forward. And it's a behind.
Got to wait for the signal, Matt.
Be interesting to see what Lee Matthews thinks about all this at the end. I mean, he was part of that great era, not the back end of the 80s, but those 70s and early 80s, but just where this team now sits in the folklore of the club.
Gibson goes back and marks the Wellingham kick. So Alistair Clarkson chasing a 4th premiership. We move past revered names like John Kennedy Sr. and Alan Jeans at Hawthorn. Quite remarkable. What a powerhouse they've become. Here's Suckling. Stratton. 105 plays 43. Drives a high ball down towards half forward. Rioli from behind. Oh, clever by Mitchell. Give him a medal. There's Lewis deftly. Rioli again, putting on something of a clinic, goes after a hard ball, stolen away by Sheed. Having that Nui's head, and Frawley takes the mark, squares it. Giray, his form has been terrific in the last 2 weeks.
Releases to Lake, and then Lake with a long bomb to the pocket. Bruce outnumbered, Shepherd goes to the line, and a boundary throw in.
Frawley now up to 22 disposals. Kennedy not having a shot at goal, Liggy. There's got to be some sort of chance.
It's got to be a huge chance, absolutely.
So they're the three-peaters in the history of the game. VFL stroke AFL.
No coincidence, the Hawks in Brisbane, their leadership, Michael Voss and Luke Hodge.
Yep.
I think just going back to that graph, Melbourne lost in 58, then came back and won another 2, so it's 5 out of 6.
They were quite amazing, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then came back in the early 60s, of course. Ray Gabelic's long run. This team putting themselves up there, eh? Butler's quick kick out. Darling, Marston, Hutchings, Sheed. And they've achieved so much this year, West Coast, to get to here, but it's been a sobering afternoon. Missing the target, Darling. Marston, they've just been so untidy. And then Prittis finds the mark. Now, Hearn's got the distance here if he wants it. He decides to give Kennedy a shot on goal. So, remarkably, this will be the first shot on goal for the Coleman medalist. 80 goals this season.
Had a wonderful year. Hasn't had a great day today. He hasn't been helped by the delivery, but Frawley's done a great job. Just back to Luke Hodge. This may be his best grand final ever that he's played, and he might miss out on the Norm Smith.
It's a reasonable point. Does Kennedy get it? I don't think it's got the distance, and there's no one there.
Yeah, that would please James Frawley a lot there, because he's got the game won, he's happy, but he would not want to concede a goal to Josh Kennedy. He'd love to walk off the ground, keeping the Coleman medalist goalless and being a premiership player. Just a little individual win there.
Gee, Walker, Pavlich and Kennedy in consecutive weeks for Chip.
Great response after that qualifying final. Shows his character.
Gunston, a high ball up towards the wing. Rioli. Well, it's all about him now. He's thinking to himself, I've played with the constraints of the team long enough. I'm just going to fly for everything. And the crowd want that. There's Burgoyne. Sends it back inside the defensive 50 and Lake. Short. Burgoyne. Up towards the wing. Giray. He's marked just outside the defensive 50.
So, almost there, eh?
I know this is a little bit of junk time as far as marks now, but we talk so often about being able to stop Hawthorn marking the ball, going a long way to beating them. They have had nearly 100 more marks than West Coast in this game. That's how much they've dominated.
Hearn to full forward. Kennedy, good grab. Quickly to Lacroix, and they get a goal at long last. So last year it was 63, this year it's hovering, that one closing it inside the 10-goal margin, meaning nothing. Well, this is the biggest crowd West Coast has ever played in front of them. So never before in those other grand finals have they had that number. Not that that means anything to them at this point.
Margin 56 points then. The players have had a good day today. That was a good bounce too. Nat Nui knocks it down. Roughhead cleverly, like a basketballer, controlling that one to Gibson. Gibson takes something off the kick show and makers. Looks inside the forward 50. Declines any invitations, comes to Hodge, his 30th possession, and Rioli was on the scamper while all that was taking place. Got free, and will go back to line up a goal from about 40 metres out. Cyril Rioli is booted too. They both came in the opening term. He was dynamite. Paying homage, the crowd, to the man and the team.
How good is that?
I wouldn't know. Here's Cyril. Kick is on the way, and this one is just bending away from goal. One-man show at the moment.
He's threatened to do this in a grand final, Rioli. He's had good grand finals. His first year, it's Adam Simpson, your old teammate, Daku. Done a fabulous job in his second season to get here.
Yes.
Cut off by Mitchell. Doesn't kick many goals. He probably hasn't got the distance here. He'll give it off for sure.
Well, the boys know it too. They're all just asking for that short one.
Sean Burgoyne just wandering over to him, having a chat. A little bit of a laugh there for Sam Mitchell. Look for the late little pass here, maybe.
Well, he's going to give it all he's got from the left. Has it got? Well, it's got the trip in the end, and it's a behind. And what about Alistair Clarkson? The only other two men since World War II to win 3 consecutive flags as coaches have both got statues at this ground. Norm Smith and Lee Matthews, and have both got very important awards named after them. That's where Clarko is in the last 50 years, so have a look at that.
Kennedy, after the footy then, got it eventually, scrambles it down towards half forward. Cripps, Gaff, slung, got the hand pass away to Rosa. Rosa kicks inside the forward 50. Gibson from behind, almost the mark to Darling. Lacroix. McGovern goes into an open goal.
So we talked about the 3 consecutive. These are the 4-time premiership coaches in the last 50 years. So Jeans, Hafey, Barassi, Parkin, Sheedy, Matthews, Clarkson.
Pretty good
best
company.
Of the best.
That is very, very good company for Alistair Clarkson.
Prentice to Hutchings, low down, controlled it pretty well. Hearn, Shuey, Marston. Beats a would-be tackler, comes away, kicks it down towards half forward, too tall for McGovern. Misjudged it on his approach there. Late goes back, finds it, just lobs it in the direction of Bruce. Steps around Wellingham. Burgoyne has it now. He's at left half back. Nothing much to kick to. Along the line. Lake again. High ball to the wing. Puopolo, not to be outdone by Rioli. Well, he has been because he didn't mark it. Off the ground, Schoenmakers. Into the lap of Shepherd. Now Gaff can take it and go. Knew where the help was. Back over the shoulder. Well, he paid the mark, so it must have been a kick, was it? I think it was a hand pass. Never mind. Shepherd drives inside the forward 50. Lacroix at the back. Good pay to Giray. Giray on his back. Gave a hand pass out looking for Lake. Chopped off there by Rosa. Now McGovern. Can he kick another goal? Yes, he will. Bit of a flourish.
Great scenes here.
Yeah, just counting down the seconds until they can celebrate. And a well-deserved victory, a well-deserved feeling of pure exhilaration for those players. Great game by the Hawks.
So the Eagles kicked the first goal today. They kicked the last three. It's just a 16 out of 20 in the middle. But Hawthorn piled on.
Too long here, West Coast, holding the man. Initial tackle was fine, just through the ground. Stay out, please.
So the last moments. Gaff and Prittis. So Hawthorn have done it. The first team in the 18-team competition to go back to back to back. They're three-peaters. They are remarkable. It all comes out now, doesn't it?
The emotion of a huge season for those players.
First premiership as a dad for Jordan Lewis, eh?
No better feeling than what the players are feeling right now. And they've been spoiled. 3 years in a row now they've had that feeling. Some players never get to feel that exhilaration. They deserve every bit of it. They are the best team by far.
And you do all that work, all that pre-season, tough games, everything, for this next 5 or 10 minutes is probably the best feeling you will ever feel as an AFL player. As any footballer, winning a premiership anywhere is a special feeling. What a great moment for all at Hawthorn, but certainly those 22 who did the job today.
A special moment here. Brett Ratton tragically lost his son through this season and being consoled here and congratulated, I mean, with a tear in an eye there. So Rats there as we go to Craig Willis for the presentation and the Norm Smith medalists after the 2015 Grand Final.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, the AFL would like to acknowledge its premier partner, Toyota, throughout the home and away season, throughout the final series, and of course, here on Grand Final Day, represented by their president, Mr. David Butner, for Toyota Australia. David, thank you and the team at Toyota for your outstanding support. We'd also like to congratulate today's field, boundary and goal umpires on their contribution to the 2015 Toyota AFL Grand Final. A tough day for the West Coast Eagles. I'd like to invite their captain, Shannon Hearn, to the podium to say a few words.
Firstly, Hawthorn, just well played today, just took way too good. All the sponsors, Bank West, SGIO, been a great support all year. Coaches, staff, playing group, all the WA community and our supporters really appreciate it. So just a great day, and just got to keep working, boys, and keep working harder and get back here. Thanks very much.
Shannon, thank you, and we look forward to seeing the Eagles back in action in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome former Adelaide Crows Premiership player, a winner of the 1997 and 1998 Norm Smith medals, Andrew McLeod, to present the Norm Smith medal to the player adjudged as best of field in the 2015 Toyota AFL Grand Final.
The winner of the Norm Smith medal is Sirioli from Hawthorn.
Thanks, Andy Mack, for presenting me this medal. I just want to thank everyone for coming out here today from both crowds. Thanks to the West Coast boys, to my wife and family sitting up in the stands. Thank you. And Brocky, this one's for you.
Well done, Cyril Rioli. It is every young footballer's dream to be on this dais on Grand Final day. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with much pleasure that we welcome 22 participants from the NAB AFL Auskick program, who will present the Premiership medallions to each player of the Hawthorn Football Club. Number 2, Jared Roughhead. Number 3, Jordan Lewis. Number 4, Matt Suckling. Number 5, Sam Mitchell. Number 6, Josh Gibson. Number 7, Ben McAvoy. Number 8, Taylor Giray. Number 9, Sean Burgoyne. Number 10, Brad Hill. Number 12, James Frawley. Number 14, Grant Birchall. Number 16, Isaac Smith. Number 17, Brian Lake. Number 19, Jack Gunson.
You're my hero, Jack.
Thanks, buddy. Good work. Great stuff.
Number 20, David Hale. Number 22, Luke Brust. Number 24, Ben Stratton. Number 25, Ryan Schoenmakers. Number 26, Liam Shields. Number 28, Paul Piwapalo. Number 33, Cyril Rioli. And now, the captain, number 15, Luke Hodge.
Congratulations on the 3-peat.
Thanks, buddy. Good work.
Would you now please welcome Australian Football Hall of Fame member and 1987 Carlton Football Club Premiership coach Robert Walls to present the Jock McHale Medal to the coach of the 2015 Toyota AFL Premiership team, Alistair Clarkson of the Hawthorn Football Club.
First of all, thanks to the West Coast Footy Club. It's the commiseration, Simo, and all your boys. You've done a magnificent job throughout the course of the last 2 years under your coaching. And I'm sure you're going to be back bigger and stronger next year. So congratulations to the West Coast Club. To our major partners at our football club in Tasmania, Rico, and also IONet, thanks very much, and Bupa, and also Adidas, been fantastic supporters of our club for a long period of time. To our board and our administration, stability is what makes footy clubs, and we've got a really stable footy club at the moment, which is why we're having some success. To our coaching group, we've had to do it really hard throughout the course of this year. Bolts was taken by the Blues about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and we had to do it really tough for a little while there. And Damien Carroll filled in his role superbly well. Had to overcome the adversity of Ratz's young fella being killed in that car accident. So, Ratz, good on you, lad. Thanks, mate. To this group of players over here, very, very special band of boys. They made some real special part of our history with their efforts throughout the course of this year, but particularly today, couldn't be proud of you boys. Thanks for your efforts. And last of all, to the brown and gold army out there, I've got it here on a bit of paper, 72,924 members. Thank you.
Firstly to Simo, Shannon and the West Coast boys, commiserations. You guys are a super team and I've got no doubt that you guys are going to be back here next year. To the AFL and their partners Toyota for putting on another fantastic season. As you said, there's no better place than to play here at the MCG on grand final day. To see 100,000 people here is just a fantastic effort. Thank you. To all involved in the Hawthorn Football Club, the sponsors, all the staff, the parents, the partners, and all our family. Thank you, football. It's an up and down sport, and you guys ride the roller coaster with us, so thank you for all your support. To Clarko and our coaching staff, you're always at us to try and improve, to try and get better. And there's no doubt we wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you guys and all the time and effort you put in. To my boys, I couldn't be prouder. We've had an up and down year at times, but to continually stand up in big occasions, absolutely wrapped. So well done, fellas. And finally, as Clarko said, to our 72,924 Melbourne members, thank you very much. Well done.
Three-time Hawthorn Premiership player Peter Knight to present the Premiership Cup to Luke Hodge and Alistair Clarkson.
What a team, eh? And to you, Darson, to BT, they might be running out of fingers, I reckon, shortly, these boys. They've raised the bar again today. Down to you, BT.
Nicely done, Bruce. Congratulations to you, Dennis, and the team up there. A wonderful grand final once again. Luke Darcy and myself down here on ground level. What a feel it is here, Darcy.
It's an incredible experience, BT, and a great honour to be able to stand on this hello turf and look at a team that has to be considered one of the greatest teams this unbelievable game we love so much has ever seen. There's 7 four-time premiership players there. 10 have now won 3 triple premiership heroes today, and they were magnificent from the first bounce to the final siren. They delivered one of the great games we've seen.
They did indeed. As you say, 59 players have played in 4 premierships, and you're adding 7 more today from this Hawthorn team. 2 of those right there, Luke Hodge and Sam Mitchell.
The joy, the celebrations. They have now played 4 grand finals in a row, and you can just the electricity of what this is. And what about the noise when Cyril Rowley got up there to win the Norseman medal? It was a Cyril champ, 98,000 the official crowd today, and everyone in the house just enjoying a remarkable player that he is.
And not to forget the 2 that have won their first premiership in this mighty Hawthorn team. There's the group that have won 4 right there. But don't forget on James Frawley playing in his first today. What a story that is. Probably the story in this team. And, of course, Ryan Schoenmakers played in the losing in 2012, missed the next 2, and he finds his first today.
It's been an emotional year, 2015, BT. We've had so many tragedies. We've had lots of ups and downs. Hawthorn have had their fair share. There's the desolation of the West Coast rooms. But let's get out and celebrate right now. Matthew Richardson, he's out and amongst the Hawthorn players. Over to you, Richo.
Yeah, and with Brian, no one deserves this more than you, mate. You played in a losing one, you missed one with a knee, you missed one through not being selected. It's got to be sweet.
Oh, it tastes so great. It's been a long journey, like you said. It's been a couple of tough years for me watching the boys have some success. It's just great to be part of that.
When your name got read out, your teammates got around you. It's a special feeling for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know all the boys have experienced this before, but for me and Chip Frawley, this is the first time for us, so it's super special.
When did you find out that you were definitely playing? Because you would have slept all right that night.
Yeah, Tuesday night, Clarko rang me just to ease my mind and sort of just let me prepare normally for the week. So it was, it was nice to do that.
Mate, congratulations. Enjoy this.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks.
Over to Lingy.
Well, Louis, you just had a photo with all the boys who have won 4 premierships. How good is that?
Oh, it's special, Ling. I mean, we did it tough this year. I mean, we lost the first final. We had to sort of come through the hard way, but the guys just keep backing up. I mean, our pressure to start the game was outstanding and then allowed us to play the way that we wanted to play, but it's a special bond you got with those guys.
It's a special feeling for you, but I love the pictures of you with little Freddie. Just everything's happening for you this week. How good was that for you?
I was worried that he'd start to cry. I didn't know how young was too young, but I think he'll remember today, won't he? But I'm sure we've got photos that will drag out one day and say, hey, week old, you saw your dad win a grand final. But it's good to enjoy with family and friends, and no doubt we'll do that tonight.
Sensational effort, mate. Enjoy the celebrations. I think Richo's got the Norm Smith medal winner, Cyril Rioli.
Well, Cyril, you've won the Norm Smith medal. Congratulations. And you join your uncle, the great Maurice Rioli, as Norm Smith medalist.
Yeah, they're 2 uncles, Michael and Maurice, and look, I had a lot of fun out there today, and I was pretty much accepting it for all the boys.
And it must have been a special moment with Andrew McLeod presenting it to you.
Oh, definitely. An NT legend and Adelaide Crows legend, so definitely unbelievable to be, get the award from him.
Do you reckon the crowd loved you here? The Cyril chant when you're having that shot at goal and you get the medal, they were just going mad.
Yeah, they were. It's just awesome to hear, and they're out in force today, and I'm just glad they were all supporting us.
Well done, mate.
Thanks, Richo.
Cyril Rioli there, the winner of the Norm Smith medal, as Richo said, joining his 2 famous uncles in Michael Long and the late Maurice Rioli. Hey, Alistair Clarkson as well, Das, has now won 4 flags. No coach in the last 50 years has coached more than 4 flags. We know the likes of Hafey and Jeans and Parkin and Sheedy and Barras have all won 4. But he's an amazing man.
He's a genius, Clarko. Couldn't have coached any better today. The way he set it up, the way he had Cyril Rioli push forward through that zone. He sliced it right open. All his matchups were perfect. And to get this group as competitive and hungry as they've ever been is just a work of art. Sam Mitchell there celebrating with the family. They're the family club Hawthorn. That's been their motto for a long period of time. And it's all about the kids. And there's Brian Lake. His kids, can you believe that man there, Brian Lake? 3 premierships in a row, having crossed over from the Bulldogs. I'm shaking my head down here. It's amazing stories everywhere.
We're going to talk to him very shortly. We're going to have a very quick break. Stay with us. You can't miss all of the emotion attached to this 3rd Hawthorn premiership in a row as the staff line up there. We'll be back in just a few moments.